Come on, they're blaming me for stealing Gak, and I'm like, it's not my fault.
He's addicted, and we're live.
Reminds me of that Sesame Street skit. All of us are here. Do, 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 do. None of us are here. None.
That's right. They go on the screen.
I don't know how you remember
Some of
that
us
shit.
are here. So I just watched it yesterday.
He's binging through all the old Sesame Street.
Yeah, I got them all on DVD, don't you?
He's pre-ordered the Blu-rays.
Well, they're certainly not on Disney Plus, so. I'm like you, Gak. After the Mandalorian's here and gone, bye-bye Disney Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing else on there.
Not really, right?
The Apple one too is the same deal. Like, I can't really remember what the show was now. And then they did the Beastie Boys documentary, and then I haven't seen anything really.
I still gotta watch that. I watched the that park one, that one in Jersey, the action park, but they call it
Class Action Park.
Class Action Park. Yeah, I watched that. Have you watched that, Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I already know the story of it and stuff, but the documentary really went into a lot of killer details.
That's on Disney or Apple?
None. That's on HBO, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's HBO.
But I think Keith obtained it, or somebody did. No. But if you have a means to watch that one, it's pretty good.
So hey, Mock.
Yeah.
What episode is this?
I don't know. Oh, we got to talk. Oh, we're live. Oops, sorry. We're live, everybody.
It is 241.
Episode 241 with 500 subscribers. Woo!
Our episode numbers may exceed our subscribers for sure.
Yeah. Well, I say we got 100.
That's our goal.
100 subscribers a year. on my animated whatever, I got a lot of miscellaneous junk on my channel. I just hit 3,200 something subscribers over there.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
I should post our show over there. Watch this.
There you go.
just spam everyone's channel.
Everybody starts unsubscribing. What is this shit? This isn't pumpkins or animation or nothing.
All Jimbo's videos where he does like the breakdown of Karate Kid and all that kind of stuff. He has like little ads that pop up for Hangout.
Wait a second. Yeah. Actually, that probably would be a bad idea, because I'm pretty sure that some people that know of my channel are people that I wouldn't necessarily want to know about.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta keep track of that.
Well, Gabriella posted the Sesame Street video of Some of Us. That's actually pretty cute. Some of us. It's like this hippie.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
It's in the IRC chat. Gab just posted.
Yeah, but I don't even have to open, 'cause I know which guy you're talking about. The hippie guy.
He's the same guy that does
I know
that.
Mana.
Oh yeah.
Mana. He remembers that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, totally. That was awesome.
Mana. And then you hear it on Benny Hill, and they're running around all fast and shit.
Oh.
They did their version of it. So are we having a guest today? Is that still happening?
I think Arcade Danger.
That's the last. Yeah.
Up, right?
Last rumor I heard is that it's a go.
Okay, so
I heard a rumor.
I heard a rumor. Whoosh.
Yeah.
That you killed yourself. No.
Whoa. No.
What is it?
It better be on.
You had a guess.
I heard a rumor. Stop.
You stop breathing now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep eating my dinner until the guest shows up, and I'll be like,
and then you're just gonna leave.
Yep. Yeah. I'll just show up as Carrie Z. I don't want to be rude.
So make sure you don't have spinach in your teeth.
Yeah.
We did the same thing.
There's Arcade Danger.
Oh, he's still connecting.
Mr. Danger.
Oh.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hi.
What's a happening, hot stuff?
Gong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. How y'all doing?
Hey, Gak, I like your jacuzzi, by the way. I'm jealous.
Oh, thanks.
Right?
man.
Are you gonna not heat it in the summer so you can just sit in
Oh yeah, that's
cooler
definitely
water?
the plan.
Yeah.
What's that?
I mean, I think it'd still be tepid, but it'll be
Yeah.
better.
You can set it as low as 80 degrees, so that's fine for summers.
And then you and your wife have to Christian it on the weekend. That's like the 70s.
Yeah, this is why Lisa should never watch this show.
Seth gets in. He's like, "What's floating on top of the water here?"
Oh, be quiet. Those are your little brothers and sisters.
It's extra foamy.
Oh no.
Like a dick cappuccino in here. Gross.
I'm gonna get pregnant.
Oh.
Why does the filter keep getting so clogged?
Oh no.
Oh.
Dad, I think you put enough bleach in here.
It looks like Seth's college shower.
Yeah, totally.
Oh.
That's not a calcium buildup on the ring of the hot tub.
That's a killer price you got though for it, because those things are expensive, you know.
Yeah.
And that looks like a decent one too. So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
I'll,
I'm surprised you did the
I'll make it
electrical.
my background picture.
You won't solder shit, but you'll handle like super
Exactly.
high end electricity.
Trust me, I was getting heckled that one already.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just waiting for it to need a cap kit.
Then he's gonna trade it.
Hope
Yeah,
the sauna
exactly.
doesn't need to solder or anything here. So.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
I could twist wires together.
Yep.
I know electrical tape. I know that really well. Wire nuts.
Yeah, you did the wiring for this thing, right?
I did.
Oh,
It was a little. I was definitely scared of it, because it's a huge cable. Like it's a 6-gauge wire. So there's like a 3 plus a ground. So there's like 4 wires in this big bundle. And so I
220?
routed that all up through the attic above the arcade in the garage, and just feeding it down by the main panel. That's what was scary to me. Like, I'm gonna freaking electrocute myself here.
And you gotta make sure water doesn't get to it too.
But still, I had the little voltage checker thing. There's like you just press a button, and if you have it near voltage, it beeps. And
Yeah.
like I'm literally 2 inches away from the 200 amp wire that's at the top. I'm like, don't touch it.
21 gigawatts!
Yep. So,
Yeah, that's scary.
managed to get it set up.
But that's great.
Yeah.
You have to call an electrician and pay him $500 to do it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
So
exactly.
save yourself some money.
Yep.
Well, you save yourself for money or you die.
Yes, exactly. Well, now I feel a lot more comfortable when I actually, the next step is going to be to hook up air conditioning in the garage. And that's going to be at 220
Oh yeah.
also. So, yeah,
A lot of
I'm a lot
220
less
shit.
nervous now. So.
Unfortunately, he didn't realize that we used 220 volts here. It took us an hour to get the smile off his face.
Yeah.
What's that from?
Top secret.
Oh, like I've heard that
Just to get the
before.
smile off his face.
So it runs on its own breaker all by itself, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
50
that way you don't
amp
have to worry
breaker.
about it touching the games or
Yeah, so
nothing.
it's a 50 amp breaker on the main panel. Then it routes over to what's called a disconnect, which is also a 50 amp breaker.
That's probably like my air conditioning, which has a breaker outside.
I believe so. Yeah.
Because I
Some
just
of
had my
them-
electrical.
Some of the older
redone.
ones are just strictly a disconnect. It's just like a fuse, you pull the thing out. But this one's actually like a breaker, a circuit breaker. I don't know.
My
I guess
AC
those
has a thing you pull out and turn.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's
that's
brand new
just a
last.
regular disconnect. That's not a breaker.
Yeah, it was new last year, and the guy I had my electric done over the weekend. And I come home from work today, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's fucking hot in here. I'm like, Julie, didn't you notice? And the AC wasn't working. When the guy he forgot to put the disconnect back in outside. And there's one thing is nice. My friend who's installed it, I called him because we had an issue before with the thermostat. It was reset to factory settings somehow. And then he's like, well, no, that's the, because I'm like, is this the way it's supposed to, like the thermostat? He goes, yeah. He goes, is the compressor running outside? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, no. And I go, wait, I just had electrical redone. And he goes, did he open the panel outside? I go, yeah, he did. I saw it. Him open it. And I went and he goes, if it comes out real easy, yeah, dude. He was just flipping upside down, pushing it, and it'll kick on. And that's exactly what it did. I was like, shit, it's 78 in here. I like a nice 70. Like, how could you not notice it was hot in here?
Yeah, that sounds wretched. So Gak, did you guys have to pour a cement slab for it?
Actually, what I did was, so the ground was really compact right there, but I dug it out, had it mostly level, then put a weed barrier, the fabric down, and then it's basically crushed gravel.
Oh yeah,
And then you
that
pack
stuff
that
that
down
compact,
tight.
yeah, that packs down for almost like
Yeah.
we can
And
be
then I
almost
leveled
driveway
all
like,
that.
yeah.
And yeah, because I even asked at the gravel supply place, I was like, so what kind of gravel should I get? And he said, oh, this is the one you want. You want the half-inch crushed gravel. And he's like, it'll pack down nice and tight. So it has like probably 1.5 to 2 inches of gravel.
Yeah, nice. And then with the weed barrier, no, that was a good.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was way more affordable than trying to.
Yes, yeah, it was like $25 for the gravel. It was like nothing for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and versus like $1,000 for a concrete or something, probably,
Who do you
What?
care?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, who cares?
Yeah, you don't see
that,
it, right?
What are you drinking, Arcade Danger? I look pretty strong.
Calming your nerves,
15.
Any Glen.
That'll do.
pig.
Is that a whiskey? I don't know what that is. Is that a whiskey?
Whiskey. It's
Mm.
always whiskey, except when it's rum.
Except when you're
Or
drinking
something else.
arcade. Yeah, that's right.
It's
Change that
always
name.
whattever I have on
There we
hand.
go.
Oh, nice.
I'm leaving
Yeah.
it as arcade danger today. Nice.
There's my hot tub right there.
Oh, just Gak's jacuzzi party.
I'm like, woo!
He's gonna
I
take
don't know.
a
You
shit
might,
out.
you might have to change those pumps. The jets really aren't doing much. Those bubbles are just stuck there.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, what is that? Toothpaste? No, it's kidding.
Welcome to the Gak's Hot Tub Show. Yeah.
That's not toothpaste.
I expect your next beer review or whatever, you wearing like a gold chain with no shirt on.
Yeah, there we go. Some hot tub themed beer to pair it with, you know.
I know. Yeah. What are you gonna pair? What beer with what hot tub? Is there a hot tub?
All right.
here?
Oh,
Our special guest is here.
Oh,
all right.
Bob's here.
He's
Okay.
muted right now.
Oh,
Well, let me introduce him.
There we
Bob.
Yes.
I'll be right back, and I want to hear all of it.
Ooh, nice
Hey.
shirt.
Go ahead, Lewis.
Come on. Mock goes and leaves right now.
He needs fuel,
Yes.
brain fluid.
Yes.
All right. So I wanted to introduce you guys to Bob. Bob Flanagan. We're colleagues at work. He found me by accident. He and I hang out on the Retro Games channel on the chat at work, and he saw that I have my Marble Madness logo, and he texted me. He said, "Why do you have the Marble Madness logo?" And I told him, I had my favorite game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then he kind of throws on me. He's like, "Oh, that's great, because I actually worked on it." And I was like,
What?
total fanboy. Yeah. And so I asked Bob to come on board, and he's got a lot of time on things. I did a little sleuthing on without asking you, Bob.
Oh, jeez.
But basically, yeah, you started out on the Apple II, right? Did a lot of game development on that,
Yeah.
and then you went to Atari. You worked on Marble Madness, Gauntlet, Zybots, and I imagine quite a few other things that everybody in this room has had the pleasure of working or playing with.
Awesome.
So welcome to the
Yes,
Senate.
welcome.
Thank you. I watched a few of you guys' episodes. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dear, and you're still here.
I told you, Lewis, don't direct people to our
Yeah.
to our show.
They did warn me, and I gave him a fair warning. So he came of his own volition. I didn't force him to join us.
I noticed at least two of you have Marble Madness in the background, so that's pretty fun to see.
Yeah.
And got
I
Marvel
did.
on the
There you go.
Yeah.
And the shirt. Yeah, unfortunately, mine doesn't fit. I got
I feel you. I'm the same boat.
Yeah.
No more
my fa-
high school shirts.
yeah. And actually, I got some at the California Extreme a couple years ago. I got some Gauntlet shirts and some Marvel shirts, and actually an iRobot shirt too, but they don't fit as well. So I gotta get to work. But yeah, no, I started out on the Apple II. Thief, background right now is one of the first games that I did that had any sort of success, and it was a rip off of Berserk, as you can see. And I just went to the arcade and watched it as often as I could, and then tried to duplicate it.
So I don't know if you know that. Well, you probably know this. There's an arcade game called Thief. It's a completely different game though. It plays kind of like Pac-Man.
Yeah. And it's newer too, right? It's late 80s.
No, it's like 81, 82, I think. 83,
Oh, really?
somewhere
Specific
between
novelty.
81 and 83.
Is that the one that has the recording?
Yeah,
cassette
the tape
player,
player.
Cassette recorder, yeah.
hockey?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mine was in 78.
Oh wow. Okay. Awesome.
So
Old school.
It was
Yeah.
yeah. It was one of the first things I did in high school, to try to sell and make money on video games.
So you were like a independent contractor doing those games with Apple?
Actually, I worked with a company called Datamos,
Okay.
and I didn't get paid until after I did it. So I basically created the games. I did about 6 or 7 games on the Apple II, and then I sell them to Datamos. They would publish them. I did them first on cassette because the Apple didn't have a disk drive at that time. And then
Those were the days. Wow.
yeah, it was a pain. I still have the cassette recorder that I used to use with a little volume knob that I custom wired into it so I could hear while it was playing back. Yeah.
Yeah, not the fastest way to load a game.
Yeah.
Well, it was better than the paper tapes I used in high school. So, not many of you have
You
experience
coded
with
all
that.
that stuff in assembler, I guess.
Yeah.
You coded
actually,
that stuff in assembler.
the first game I did was mixed basic and assembler. It was called Speedway, and it was a ripoff of course, the arcade game Speedway, the top-down driving game where cars came at you from the top of the screen.
Oh yeah.
And so I ripped that one off and did that. It was mostly basic and then some assembly language for the graphic for the race part. And then I went all assembly for the rest of the games I did on the Apple. Then Marble Madness was actually C. It was my first C coding for the 68,000. So.
And that's when you got a job at Apple, or I'm sorry, at Atari.
Oh yeah. 1982, 84. I came up to interview at Apple Electronic Arts and Atari, and I interviewed at Atari first, and they called me back the next day and hired me. I still don't know why. I totally flubbed the interview. Dave Ralston and it was John Solwitz and Peter Lipson, and several others interviewed me there. Peter Lipson is, RBI and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh wow!
And Solwitz worked on Paperboy and Cyberball and Ramparts, and they interviewed me, and I still don't know why they hired me, but I was lucky.
So why do you think that you flubbed? What did you flub on the interview?
I didn't know what an interrupt was.
Ah.
Because the Apple II didn't have a vertical blank interrupt or any of that stuff. All the timing was done with code, with opcodes. So I didn't have any knowledge of luckily I knew what a VSync was somewhat, but I never knew how to use it for a game. So that was one of the failings. But I did bring in my Apple II and my games to show them what I had done. So I think that probably had some.
Yeah, I would imagine.
That might help.
I delivered.
Yeah. Were the questions more of, I mean, did they ask you kind of more creative, like your creative thought process, or was it much more kind of the technical? It was more
Yeah, it was totally technical. It was totally technical because I wasn't, I mean, none of the games that I had created were really creative, I would say. I did a game called Guardian, which was actually done under an alias because I didn't want to piss off Datamost. And I wanted to do this game for a friend who was working at this other Continental Software. And that was creative, but not really, because it was kind of a maze game and it took all the characters from different video games as your enemies. So it took, the Ghost from Pac-Man and Galaxian characters and just all kinds of different characters that you would try to fend off from the maze.
Well, that's fun. Although, yeah, you legally would get your ass kicked. Like, good idea on using the alias, right? Like the IP stuff. Oh, but what a blast that would be.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't get sued for Thief at the time, because it was a blatant video.
Yeah, it's totally preserved.
Maybe it's because it only sold like 5,000 units, which wasn't enough to.
Stern was like, "Oh, this Apple company, and they're never going to become anything. Don't worry about them."
They smell.
Not a big enough market to
At least you chose
money.
the appropriate name for the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
Non-ironically titled.
I'm glad I didn't have to explain that.
The first name was called Stolen IP, and they didn't quite like that name, so he renamed it Thief.
It was too long to fit on the.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first two I named exactly like the arcade game, which was even more dangerous. The Speedway, and I did a Seawolf game, which was based on the Seawolf game where you put your head in the periscope.
Oh yeah, we know that. We know our games.
Yeah, I figured you did. I've watched some of your shows.
I'm thinking that like most of us have either currently have or have had one of your games in our arcade. Like I have a Zybot.
Right.
Like there's a lot of.
I'd love to say I designed those. I didn't. I programmed all of them. There's only like.
What's the difference? Like
well, so like. Yeah, Mark Cerny designed Marble Madness and did the game, the playfield layouts. He did the ray tracer to create the playfields on a VAX. He did all that work. I did the runtime gameplay, all the self-test work, and then he actually helped with optimizations, like the dots rolling inside the marble. We didn't have floating point, so doing the math for those rotations was a non-trivial thing in fixed point and that kinds of stuff. But I did add creative ideas to the project in terms of the marble responsiveness and some of the characters, but most of that he had all designed. He's a friggin' genius. Hard to work with, but a friggin' genius. I mean, I like the guy. Even though we spent 10 months a little too close to one another.
Damn,
killing
whiz
each other by the
kids.
end.
I want to say he was only like 16 or 17.
He was young, yeah.
He was like a year younger than me at the time. Yeah.
How old were you at the time?
You guys were like 18 or 19, right?
22, I think.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was pretty young doing that. I got lucky. They hired me and I worked on Paperboy for a couple months with John Solitz and Dave Ralston, and Doug Snyder was the hardware engineer on that. He's a fantastic hardware engineer, and I had a blast working on that. I did the 2-player mode and did some optimized score display stuff for it because it was a weird processor and weird language. It used a language called Bliss. So I did that for a couple of months, and then Cerny had Marble Madness and asked to have me join him on the team, which was awesome. And then when that was done, Ed Logg was starting up Gauntlet and asked me to join his team. So I was kind of,
Wow.
I feel very lucky. I got
Yeah,
involved.
talk about iconic games, man. Jeez.
Strong product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Paperboy was the first though that you worked on
Yeah.
Atari. Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Only a couple of months on that.
Do you recall, was there anything like some weird different controls or anything they were trying to do but wouldn't work out, so they just stuck with the handlebars? Or
No, they had, when I got there, they already had the handlebars.
Okay.
And the mechanical engineer that was in charge of that, dang it, forgot his name. A really nice guy, great guy. Worked really hard on getting that thing sturdy because it had a lot of leverage. There was a lot of leverage
Yeah.
you could get onto it, and it could cause a lot of problems on the cabinets. So they worked really hard on getting that right.
Yeah.
And obviously that's one of the things that separated the arcades from the home.
For sure.
Was the custom controls and unique display systems. So
Yeah,
no, I got lucky working on that and Marvel and Gauntlet, and then Ed liked working with me, so I got to work on Gauntlet 2 with him, and then we separated for a little bit. I can't remember why. I think I worked on Atari was doing Tengen about that time.
Oh,
There you
to
go.
do the Nintendo type stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did we had a couple of guys in the clean room doing reverse engineering so we could ship Nintendo cartridges.
You had to change. Didn't Atari have to change their name to Tengen or something because you're only allowed to release a certain number of games per year or something like that?
It had to do with the consumer market. So the year I was hired, the consumer division was sold off like 6 months after I was hired to the Trammell brothers. And it was split. So the consumer and the arcade divisions were split. And the consumer rights went with the other part of the company. So Atari technically wasn't allowed to make consumer products. And that's why they created Tengen.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
So they created Tengen, and they did it knowing, I don't remember which came first, the Nintendo Entertainment System or Tengen, but they did clean room reverse engineering and created a way to produce cartridges without Nintendo approval. I just found 2 of those in sealed boxes actually, and looked them up on eBay and found that they were worth something.
Yeah, I imagine.
I was kind of surprised. Yeah.
That was the other question I was going to ask is like, so do you still have any of the stuff you were developed and helped program?
Yeah. So I actually do. I have a small arcade, nothing like you guys, with like some old pieces. Obviously, I've got a Marble Madness.
Awesome.
I've got a Marble Madness 2. One of the 3 that exist.
The Marble Man.
Okay, so I thought there was only 2 that existed. So this is news to me.
I know where we're leading with that one too. I should have brought that up so early.
Rom dump.
Maybe we can come back to that later.
Yeah.
Let's come back to that. Yes.
You want to hear my rant on that?
Yeah.
I hope that wasn't the show he watched.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, so somebody get Bob a drink. We need to loosen him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey Bob, I wanted to ask you something back on Thief.
Sure.
I actually remember seeing the ad for Thief. And
really?
Yeah, and I had it. I think I don't remember if it was in a mag. I thought it was in a magazine, but I do remember seeing the ad. And I was going to ask you, like, who did the artwork for that?
I don't remember. I have a copy of that artwork on the cover that was sold with it. Was pretty incredible. The artwork for that.
I posted it in the IRC.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's up about 20. Let's see. Maybe I can post. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
There, I already posted it.
Yeah.
Moby Games.
That was the cover sheet that was sold with the disc inside. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing it when I was younger, and I was like, "Oh, that looks like an awesome game." And Yeah, I totally remember the ad. I remember it shooting his leg and all that. So when I heard you
Yeah.
said you did Thief, I'm like, oh, I remember that game.
Yeah,
And I
of
remember the
course I
art.
Yeah, on the Apple II, of course, I did everything: the programming, the audio, and the
Oh yeah,
graphics, and everything. Of
you do
course,
it
that's
all.
why all the audio sucked, um, and the graphics for that matter. But
Well, that was one thing about a lot of the original games, like in the early 80s, late 70s. Like they got super creative with the artwork to help with the imagination of the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had
It's
to
like
sell
you're
it,
really
right?
just looking at a little square and a circle and blocks moving around, but no, that's the warrior, with the sword, whatever.
The
Yeah.
artwork for Centipede for the 2600 was amazing. Some of those cartridges were,
Yeah.
it was just stunning.
Yeah, Ed
Like,
Log
oh,
was-
that's who I'm supposed to be. That's what
Use
I'm
your
doing.
imagination, kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
they were some of the artwork for the Apple II products, and even Commodore or the other home computer products were incredible. And the arcade the production ad for Marble Madness in the arcade I thought was pretty cool. There wasn't artwork, it was a photo. They typically had photos of people playing the games, but they still were pretty cool, I thought. Not as nice as the artwork though. Yeah. Now that I think about it.
I remember them. I think maybe Cerny was giving an interview, and they give him a lot of crap about the game being very abstract, right? Because it's spheres and cylinders and just weird things, and they had to like come with a compromise to make a face out of something to give it a character, and that's how we ended up with kind of the swirls on the logo of the game.
That's a good question. I don't know if that's true. If that's the I don't know about that.
Smiley face.
I know that's why I did what I just said I didn't design games. I designed 2 games. I designed Skull and Crossbones with Mike Halley and Marble Madness 2, also with Mike Halley, both of which were relative failures. Marble Madness 2 actually tested number 3 in the arcade for many weeks when it was on test, which was really good. But at the time, Atari had a rule that they had in place that said if it didn't go number 1 for like 3 or 4 weeks during test, it wasn't going to get produced. And then, of course, as soon as they canceled Marble Madness 2, the next product out the door went out without being ranked number 1. I was really ticked, but yeah, I made a huge mistake on Marble Madness 2 by going to joysticks. That was my fault, my responsibility.
So I could have
I read that. I read that in a different interview.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the other 2 prototypes. I could have sworn yet one of them had trackballs.
So the hardware was set up to run trackballs, and there was actually a switch to enable trackballs.
Okay.
The software that went out final did not have the support for that, but it was in some of the original software. It just wasn't.
Oh,
it was
so it's
compiled
what ROM
out.
revision you've got.
Yeah,
all 2 of them.
Compiled. It was compiled out. I think Scott Evans has the source, and he was actually trying to get a trackball version going.
So
he actually spent a lot of time and effort, and I think probably some personal money, working with some of the ex-Atarians who knew the systems. He had an emulator set up. He had a whole development environment set up with a computer, a VAX computer, and the whole bit to do the builds and debug it. And I pointed him out at the places in the source code where the trackball code was, but compiled out. So I think he was close to getting it working, but I'm not sure what ended up with that.
We need to get Scott on here to talk about it.
Yeah.
So was there pressure? Was there pressure from Atari to force you to go to joysticks so it could be converted to the home market easier?
No, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Unfortunately, that was my fault.
Well, you could use that and just say that.
I know. I spent 10 years watching Marble be really successful in the home market using joysticks and turbo buttons.
Right.
And I felt like the game was old enough such that the current market would not know the trackball per se. in terms of Marble Madness, and would have expectations of Marble Madness being a joystick. I think we actually tested it a week or two with the trackballs, but it didn't do very well. I don't think it was because of the trackballs now, but at the time I thought it was that. So I flipped it to the joysticks and turbo buttons. It actually tested better, but I still think it was a mistake.
Somebody played Marble Madness and never played it with, they played the home version. He came over to my house. He goes, I love this game, and he never played it. He never played the arcade. I go, really? I've never played a home version. I've only played it on MAME, and then this. In fact, the reason I got MAME, my first computer was in 2000, and then the first thing I wanted to do, because I kept thinking about, I haven't played Marble Madness since I was a kid. And my neighbor, I'm like, listen, I want to do this MAME thing. I bought a trackball mouse, just so I could play it. And I'm like, I don't know how to set fucking MAME up. And we did it that was the first game I ever played on MAME was Marble Madness, because I wanted to play it that bad.
Wow.
That's how much I really remembered that game. It was so unique.
That's
cool.
I
loved it.
I only knew the ports as a kid, playing it on Nintendo, and then also on my neighbor's Apple with the little joystick and the one button, and that's how I knew it first. And then when I realized there was an arcade version, I'm like, oh my god, this is so much more superior to that. But because you're just playing with a joystick, and so it's like all or none. There's no like real skill with getting that.
No finesse.
No
finesse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I played it on the Candy 1000 EX.
I remember when our Marble Madness hit arcades, and people had a blast with those trackballs.
Yeah.
A lot of people played 2 players, and they're just like pounding on that, just having a blast on it. It was just such a crazy, unique game. It was amazing. Yeah.
What a genius though, moneymaker, because the games are so short. Even if you pass the whole game, it's like what, 5 minutes?
10 minutes,
maybe.
Yeah. 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, the experts use two trackballs for single player games. They actually use both trackballs to run the marble more efficiently.
Oh my god, really?
Wow.
I don't think I've seen that.
I'd use it on stage 4 for when you go down the ramp to backpedal real quick. You do 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah, that works really well. Yeah. I don't have mine anymore. I sold mine 2 months ago, but no joke. As soon as Lewis is like,
time.
I had it for 6 years. But it's funny. Lewis is like, hey, I'm getting one of the guys that worked on Marble Madness on here. I'm like, did you do that on purpose? So should I lead with? I just sold my Marble Madness. Ran out of space. I had to look down the row.
I always remembered the soundtrack as a kid. The music was so amazing. Wow, this is, wow, the music is awesome.
I used to have stage 2 as my ringtone on my phone for a while.
Yeah, Brad Fuller and the other, they were incredible. That did the music for that. It was like the first Yamaha sound chip that we had, I think, in our Atari hardware, and it was cool to be part of that System 1 new hardware thing.
Who came up with the backwards level that where you go up the stage?
Everything you know is wrong.
Everything you know is wrong. It's so weird.
Yes.
Cerny, I think
those stupid birds at the top can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
The real reason the game got sold. For you birds.
I loved working on those. But people found shortcuts that just didn't exist in that game, that we didn't intend at all.
Oh,
especially
they found
it.
Exploits.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
At the top of that wave, that ramp that goes up before the goal, you can cut across the short wall there because it's short enough that the physics didn't prevent it.
Right.
It's like clipping errors, right? There's like 2 or 3 that I use to get through the game. One of them is that.
And
birds, though.
Yeah.
So Bob,
and the end of stage 4. That's so random. You can either get the good set of the little wrenchy things at the end, or you can get just the fuck you over set.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I'll lose like 20 seconds on that, or it'll be like, oh, that's the easy one where it's like sequential. But yeah, that spot's tough too.
Is that just a random thing that can happen, or?
It seems to be. I don't know.
There were
Oh, well,
patterns.
let's ask Bob. He's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately for your anger, I enjoyed making all the patterns for all those things.
The one where they all come up, I'm like, gah, get out of here. I know you can squeak by past them too.
Yeah,
But
if you knew how to do that, that was really hard to squeak.
I only did it like
by.
once or twice where you're like balancing, you're like a little off the, but
Yeah.
that's tough. You have to like pound on that trackball.
So it would randomly pick one of the patterns, but there were set patterns for that. The vacuums were just activated on that level. They were just based on your motion and your speed. And
cool.
most of the things in the game were triggered by the progression of the scroll of the screen, so that based on how fast you were progressing down the field, if you were at top speed, you could avoid most of the stuff. If you were taking the same path, like the acid puddles. That's a great example.
Yeah, exactly. You just blow through the acid puddles. They don't have time to get you.
Yeah.
I love the catapult. That's freaking awesome.
Awesome.
That's like, But man, I think I could count on one hand maybe the amount of times where even if you hit the enemy marble, you still go off the edge right after that.
No,
it's so impossible. It's so difficult. I should say it's impossible because I've done it like once.
Yeah, I made
to not go off the
a
edge.
little too strong in his ability to resist you.
So Bob, I'm looking at the picture of your control panel there. I see there's like extra sets of mounting bolts. Is that a mistake, or was that like a prototype? You're trying it at a 45?
Prototype. So we originally mounted the trackball the normal way, which is with the rollers vertical and horizontal.
Okay.
And obviously if you think logically about the game, that doesn't make any
kind of
sense.
isometric. Yeah.
You ended up popping the trackball out of the rollers, and then it wouldn't function. We made them the rollers 45 degrees, and so that was a prototype cabinet. So it had the original square setup, and then it had the 90 degree or 45 degree rotation to get the angles on it.
All right, Bob, let's talk dirty here. Is Zybots a sequel to Thief?
Oh, good question.
It's a 3D
questions are coming, man. I hope you drank.
Yeah. So Zybots was actually the sequel to Gauntlet. Ed Log wanted to make a space version of Gauntlet. He thought he could do a space version, and we had enough hardware. I think Doom had just come out, or not Doom, but the predecessor with
Wolfenstein.
Wolfie, yeah. Wolfie 3D, I think it was, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And he wanted to do something on arcade hardware which was not bitmapped. And we had limited capability, but he was able to get, I think that was also a Doug Snyder hardware. He was able to get a hardware that could at least do most of what he needed for maze drawing and stuff. So that was a Gauntlet with a space thing. And if you think about the gameplay, I mean, there's energy canisters just like food, and then there's a variety of attackers.
That's a fun game that just does not get the love it deserves. But me and Carrie, because Carrie has one, and we've talked. It's a game that is really super fun to play with someone else.
Exactly.
But by yourself, if it would fill the screen when you play solo.
That was the whole point, right? It just feel lonely, so that you get more quarters in the game.
Just start a 2-player game, but only play one player.
Yeah, and those controllers were a pain. I mean, I have the cabinet behind me. The joysticks actually, they broke without too much use. Luckily, I got a free replacement set from Scott Evans again.
We rebuilt Carrie's joysticks. It was the rubber ring or whatever that's in that soft rubber ring grommet or whatever that
Yeah.
goes around the outer. We ended up using the thing that ended up working best as a replacement because we couldn't find any originals. Was we ended up using like a plumber seal in a hardware
yeah.
store, and they fit like perfect.
Yeah, it was like
Oh,
for like a
weird.
garbage disposal or something. I forgot
Yeah.
what the size
It was
was.
we're like, holy crap! It's like the exact.
Yeah, it was
same
just
size.
almost perfect. It was almost
Yeah.
perfect. Yes.
Almost perfect. Oh,
Did you
cool.
Dremel
Well, at
out
least
the
it's
rest?
working.
Yeah.
Didn't have to, but it takes. You can tell you can tell that which one's the player one joystick because that one's broken in way more than
Yeah.
the other one.
I
And
had
I
a
was like,
blast.
oh, this no problem. Bring this to CAX and people
Yeah.
will hammer on it. That's how you bring. Like
Hey, that's
I always
how you
talk
break
to.
it in.
Yeah, I was like, I'd always talk about bringing. If I was closer to California, if I was going to bring any games, I would have brought Marble Madness because just to let people wail on those trackballs to really break them in because they were all rebuilt, but people expect
right.
them to play like the originals that had been in
Yeah.
arcades and stuff, and it's just no, it just takes time.
It's hard to get those trackballs. Yeah, mine are pretty broken in. I've been thinking about switching them out, but I'm kind of happy with. I mean, even if they scrub a little bit, I'm still happy.
Yeah,
with it.
and everyone thinks that it's all about the bearings, but it's not. It's equally about the rollers. You need to have a little bit of a groove worn in for it to really hug the trackball to get a ton of revolutions. Yeah,
that's interesting. I had a blast working on the transition scenes for Zybots. That was based a lot on the elevator scenes from a previous game Rusty Daw did. What was the movie?
Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, Cloak and Dagger. There you go. Thank you. Yeah. And
Carrie has that too.
Yeah,
I love that.
I got now I got a theme going. I'm gonna have to put the two next to each other, Cloak and Dagger and Zybots next to each other.
Oh, so like
Yeah,
when the
so you
guys
come
when
down the
guys-
elevator
yeah,
and you're
the elevators, and they're sitting
you're-
there with the gun, and
Yep.
I
waiting
love
for
that
the other
game.
person.
Yeah, and it's fun. And those those scenes, those transition scenes are a lot of fun in Zybots. Yeah.
The artist I was working with was incredible. So it was a lot of fun putting those together.
The human has been neutralized.
Yeah.
There you
All right,
go.
speaking of voice, the hero needs food badly, and all those kind of voices.
Yeah.
Do you have like voice actors for that, or how'd that all work out?
Yeah, I was actually done by in-house guys for Gauntlet.
So who's the elf?
Earl Vickers. Earl
That's the warrior.
Vickers
Warrior needs food badly.
was responsible for all that. I'm not sure. I think he did some of the voices, and then he had other people do some of the other voices. And
so they
I
just
did
grab
all the
people wherever you could. Say, hey,
Yeah,
do you want to be
basically.
Valkyrie?
Yeah, they had some people that they knew about, I think, in the audio department. Brad Fuller was the lead in that, and then he had several guys working with him that were awesome. I loved putting in all the AI for that stuff. That and the Thief were just a blast putting in for that game. The Thief was based on a breadcrumb system, so it was really fun because he would just follow the exact path that you took through the maze.
You mentioned Marble Man. Was there any other games you were developing that like never came out? They only did prototype, or
Actually, I broke the Atari mold. There was a rule when I came in that, like, I think it was every other game or something was a success, and I worked on most of the games I worked on shipped. There were two that didn't. A game called it was a redo of Warlords that Ed Log wanted to do, up to date kind of a thing, and the people inside kind of had fun playing it, but Ed didn't feel confidence that it would go anywhere, so it was killed pretty early. And then Marble Madness 2 was killed.
So was that sequel to Warlords? Was it actually in a working prototype, or?
Yeah, it was in a Gauntlet cabinet. I think we had it in a Gauntlet style cabinet as a prototype.
Okay.
I don't think there's a prototype of it that lives on.
Right. Yeah.
I doubt it. I'm pretty sure.
Was it going to be called Warlords 2 or something, or what?
I don't think he even had a thought about a name. I think he was
Okay.
just excited about the concept and
Battle
bringing it up
Gods.
to
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
trying to bring it forward. Yeah.
So I don't, Bob, if you know this or not, but before COVID hit, we used to do an event in Eagle, Idaho for Grinkers. It's an arcade out there that the owner
In Idaho?
Steve in Idaho, owns.
Oh, okay.
And we do an arcade tournament. In fact, last year we had Marble Madness, I think, in the tournament, didn't we?
It was either last year or the year before.
The year before,
Yeah.
one of the years.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
not. But speaking of Warlords, we would do for fun. We would throw down dollar bills and play Warlords, and
Four-player,
whoever,
yeah.
four-player
that's a
Warlords.
great game to play late night.
Drinking beers and playing Warlords was just it was just a freaking blast. So
No 8-player sprint.
He didn't have one. We probably would. That happened at CAX though.
We played that at CAX. Yeah.
Yeah, we did some
That-
8-player sprint and
That was one of my favorite games.
I think
growing
Tank
up.
800 or something like that. Whatever, the same kind of.
I think that's the game that got hooked me on the arcade. Was the 8-player sprint.
right.
You're talking. I just
the
played
groups.
the 4-player sprint in New Hampshire. The old. We're talking. There's an 8-player one. We're
Yeah.
talking.
that's the one we all played. Yeah.
It's like a cocktail.
Yeah,
in the middle,
there's
and then
a
Yeah,
there's
I mean
four
the
and there's a
Grinkers.
sprint.
players
I'm sorry,
on
the
each
Fun
side.
Spot one. My whole family played the 4 of us with like it must be black and white, maybe with a color or no, it was color. I think or it's
It was like what they did with
It's-
Berserk. I think it was originally black and white, and then they started putting colors. Like this.
But
is
we
not what they
played
do
a
with
4, so
Berserk
there's an
arcade game?
8-player sprint.
No, there's
that
colors
same-
because remember there's
There's
a pink
colors. So each,
one,
Yeah,
each,
brown
each car is a
one.
different
Like-
color.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
each color,
There's
so you
an
know who you are.
8-player.
Yes. So the island had like two steering wheels on each.
Everyone's
of the
sitting in
4
a
sides.
standing in a circle,
Yeah.
a square
Wow.
circle, I should say.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
we had a
no,
ball.
that's-
My son's like, Dad, can we get this? I'm like, look how big
Exactly.
this is. Are you crazy?
Yeah, just flip
Oh,
it.
It'd have to be the centerpiece.
I've never seen
Whatever
it
room you
working.
put
It
in.
was. I've never seen it working. At
There's
Fun
like
Spot. Was it
27
working?
boards in that thing.
Yeah, it's massive. Well, there's like at least 8.
Oh no, there's a whole bunch of
I
boards.
said
Way
at
more
least
than 8.
Yeah.
No, I remember
At
I
least
watched
one
them open
per
it up and
player.
try to fix it before we were playing it because they were
It
working on
wasn't-
it for like all Saturday or Friday, and then they had it working on Saturday. But yeah, no, I saw the side of it open. They had
Oof.
a row of boards all the way across. It's like yikes,
It's gotta be
FPGA
enormous,
that.
this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PGA, yeah.
and all that information can fit on a little
for
Raspberry
like the
Pi
for like the
now.
4 that are out there that people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised to me it was so many boards. I would have expected it to be one,
Oh,
but that was before my time. So,
What year did that come out?
Yeah, it was like
IRC
76,
answer.
78,
70.
right in there, I want to say.
it would be
Okay.
late '70s
Yeah.
because I played it in high school at the golf land.
Golf
Yeah.
and stuff.
okay, Bob. I got some more Gauntlet questions for you. So first of all, Gauntlet first Gauntlet.
Awesome.
Market
that ever-
priorities.
Does that ever have an ending, or does it just loop? 'Cause
It loops.
okay, it loops.
Ed came up with a really cool system that would use prime numbers to sequence through the mazes so that it wouldn't seem like they ever repeated.
Wow.
So after level 7, I guess. So I mean, I programmed it, but it was Ed's algorithm to do the sequencing, and it was really cool. So we had a table of prime numbers that we would use, and different prime numbers would sequence through, I think 104 mazes or something like that in
Oh.
different order, so that it because order provides you memory. Like when you listen to an album, you
Yeah.
listen to the songs in order, you always remember that order, right? But
Mhm.
if you were to listen to them in a sequence that progressed differently, it wouldn't seem like the same album.
Mm.
Gauntlet
So-
2 was more sequential, though, wasn't it? Because they actually had the Gauntlet 2.
No, it used the same algorithm.
Same algorithm. Okay.
The same algorithm, yeah. But I think the mazes seemed more repetitive. I would have to say.
Does 2
Yeah.
have an ending?
No.
No, it doesn't, right?
no, it's
Okay,
the
was
same-
it-
If no ending, what's the longest people played Gauntlet?
Well, I mean, there's a timer. There's a timer on your health, basically, so you
So
can
you
play
gotta
for as long as you want.
Quarters.
Until you keep putting
Yeah.
quarters in.
As
Yeah.
long as you
I
put
mean,
in
The
what are
first
we-
quarter
Yeah.
muncher.
yeah, that was,
It's like Like, what's the most people spent to keep going?
I think it might be the first. I mean, what game? It's sort of like one of the like
it
the old
continues?
fighters, like Final Fight, where you keep putting in quarters in to continue.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
Final Fight had an
There's
ending.
more quarters.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Marvel was the first game-ending game, right? Most of the games did not have endings. Marvel might have been one of the first. There was a lot of complaints that it had an ending.
Crystal
and it ended
Castles
too
has
soon.
an ending too. That only goes so
Oh, right.
far.
That came out relatively close.
It probably takes a
Pole
little
Position
while
has an
longer.
ending.
That was Franz.
Pole
Oh,
Position.
okay. So
Mhm.
I know nothing.
Dragon's
No,
Lair.
no, 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 you're right.
Dragon's
That's a good point.
Lair.
It's
There's a
a-
few.
Oh,
There's a
Dragon's Lair came out later. Yeah.
small handful of games. Yeah. So was there ever talks about maybe putting in a dragon once in a while or something in the Gauntlet? Was did that ever come up?
Gauntlet 2 had dragons.
Like a boss.
Yeah, the dragon was Gauntlet 2.
Yeah.
Oh, so there is one in Dragon.
Yeah, it's really big
Okay.
sprite too. It's really big and it shoots fireballs,
Yeah.
and it's like, as it gets closer and closer to death, it shoots the fireballs more aggressively. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Again, pattern based.
Yeah.
Similar. Yeah. Basically the birds from Marble Madness.
All it had to
Nice. I hate
worked
that
once.
dragon.
Bob, was Gauntlet your most successful game? That had to be, right? Because that had to make a fortune as far as like, wow, this game.
Four
or does it
players
not
putting
matter
in
for
quarters
you?
over and over.
Like
Yeah,
from your standpoint, like,
From
because
the
you're not the.
arcades- Yeah, from the arcade standpoint, definitely. I think Marble Madness actually made more in the home market in the long run.
That would make
Even
sense.
though there
that
was
makes
only
sense.
one of
That
them.
was ported to everything, yeah.
Because it was
And
ported to
NES,
everything.
yeah.
And then Gauntlet actually slowly started getting ported later to more and more platforms and did pretty well. But I think Marble Madness actually made more on the consumer market.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah, because
Gauntlet-
Gauntlet's kind of
Gauntlet
specific
had
to the
more-
arcade, 4 people having a ball playing.
Yeah. And we
Yeah,
were
the-
disappointed. I mean, part of the reason I left Atari to go to EA to do arcade work was because I felt like the marketing, or not the marketing, but the sales department didn't quite get it done. I felt there were other like companies like Midway and they were selling games that didn't make as much money as Gauntlet, but they sold a lot more units. And Gauntlet was inexpensive. It really should have sold more units than it did. So I don't know for a fact that the sales group wasn't doing a good job. It just, from the observation of the industry, that's what it felt like. And no one ever really talked about that.
I remember when I was a kid, that was huge. Like, it was packed. I mean, I played it a few times, but man, people were addicted to that. They did not get off that game.
I think Ed and I went out
quarters.
the first week. I think we got called out to the test arcade, the first test, and they said the game wasn't working, and it was because the coin box was overflowing and wasn't accepting more coins.
The Pac-Man problem.
It
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, okay.
That's so much
slot
weight.
machine.
we got something here.
Yeah.
Think about how much weight, those plastic tubs.
Yeah.
Something like, oh man. I remember my Turtles, the first game that I owned, and I was on a bowling league, and we would play a little card game stuff. If you got strikes, you get quarter or whatever. We'd play poker, and so I usually on those nights I would end up with a pile of quarters. And I'd use my Turtles machine as a piggy bank. Now that's got a huge tub, and for quarters. And I remember I'm like, this thing they must just be able to hold like at least $1,000, probably more than that. Cause I emptied it out. It was only like, only the bottom of it was like that full of quarters. And there was like $350 in there. And I used that to buy Tetris, but, and that thing's like this deep. And I was just like, can you imagine if that got full, how heavy that must be?
Oh yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Those boxes got really heavy.
Man.
Yeah.
Too bad you didn't get residuals like an actor,
right?
The percentage of the
yeah.
Well, it sounds like maybe you got some free games out of the deal, though, right?
Yeah, actually, the way the games work, you can see some of the games in my background here.
Yeah.
I've got a Cabaret Gauntlet game, and
Oh, that's in the Rolling Thunder cabinet.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was I don't remember. It was a special cabinet they designed specially, the Cabaret they called it, which didn't have the light.
On the marquee, yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Rolling Thunder was the first game in that cabinet style.
That did that, yeah. And it was a 2-player version, obviously, of Gauntlet.
Bob, you should realize that Gak there is like our Rain Man of arcade cabinets. You just show him like a corner of something, like, hey Gak, what cabinet is this? Right? Yeah, 2 square inches of any part of the cabinet. And he's like, oh, that's a
That's a Williams cab. Don't you know?
From many years of hunting Craigslist and
that's a magic sword that's been it's amazing.
Converted to a Cubert.
Most of the cabinets I have are prototype cabinets. They were built, they were used as prototypes for testing or for in-house. And then we had a donut fund where that was used on Fridays to buy donuts for the group. And so when you bought a cabinet, you would donate to the donut fund, essentially. That was the way the beer and donut fund got funded.
There you go.
Because they had
Did you get a serious discount then, like employee discount on the cabinets that you'd buy?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fine to say now. I mean, they were only like $150.
Oh man,
or something like that. Yeah, I got really lucky. And that Berserk I got.
Yeah, I was gonna say all the way at the back there's Berserk, right?
Oh my God!
Wow,
Look at
that's
him.
impressive.
Yeah, well, I can see that too. All right, show off.
Nice.
Don't worry.
And by the way, your Atari Marble Madness is an alternate side art. They did like at least 2 versions of that side art, and that was pretty rare.
Shut up.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you may be good, but you screwed up Carrie's Forgotten World. So
sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I should see him with a phone book, Bob. Sorry, he's really good. He's really good with a phone book.
That's impressive.
That's his mutant power.
The Berserk.
So Bob, when you would go to the arcade to check out,
definitely Berserk, definitely.
Yeah,
No, sorry.
They're Rain Man of arcade machine.
Rain Man of cabinet art.
So Bob, when you would go into
count
the
the push
arcade,
buttons. Yeah.
When you go into an arcade to check out how how the games are doing or to test something, what did you like to play when you were in there? Like that wasn't yours, that was
great
out
question.
around
I was going to ask him. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So I never actually played while I was watching the games because it was my job to watch until we got videotape machines in the machines, and then
maybe I should rephrase that. How about downtime?
Downtime. Actually, Ed Log, my mentor there, taught me Robotron. So we had a Robotron right outside our lab, and on difficulty.
Right there.
Yeah, I'm
Everybody loves Robotron.
You have a Robotron.
And he could virtually play it on difficulty 10 forever and taught me how to do almost that.
Oh my God.
I've forgotten, but it was that was a great game to play. Downtime. I love adrenaline games. That was my
risk reward. Yeah.
Anything that would give me some adrenaline would win me over, which is weird because I ended up working on The Sims at Electronic Arts for 16 years, and there's no adrenaline in that.
I was looking at your list here of the games that you've worked on, and I see let's see the Herbs Sims in the City at 2004 all the way up to 2018, The Sims Mobile.
Yeah.
You've been on Sims. Are you sick of Sims yet?
I was pretty. The thing is, I like I said, I like adrenaline games, and when I left Midway, which was the old Atari, Midway had bought the Atari office in Milpitas, and still owned. I guess I don't know about the branding, but anyway, I left there and shoot, I lost my track.
Do you still like the Sims?
Games? Yeah, I went to I evaluated the Sims on console. They had a PS2, I think it was, Sims game called Busted Out, or Busted Out. And I played it and I went, oh man, I don't want to go work for these guys. This isn't my type of thing. But I played it a little more and I realized what I really liked about it was the evolving gameplay. That the game was never the same, no matter what you did. It was really different. And it was based on the simulation that runs inside the game. And so that's what kind of kept me involved, was the evolution of that simulation over the years to make the game different. So I loved it for that. It wasn't a game I would play like all the time, unlike every other game that I worked on in the arcade that I would play all the time, even when not debugging. But you know, sometimes you gotta pay the bills.
Here, yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Sometimes
yeah.
you gotta pay the bills.
I have one last question, and then if anybody else has questions, throw them out, and IRC have questions, throw them out. I saw on your list here Vapor TRX, which is an arcade game that is so different than anything else you've done in your span of like games that you've done. I mean, that's like kind of like an F-Zero style, a little bit, I guess, racing game, sort of I guess it's 3D.
It's a huge one, right?
It's a big sit down racer.
Is that three monitors?
One monitor.
One monitor.
Yeah. So to tell us a little about that, maybe what your inspiration was. And
so that was actually after Atari, I went to work for EA for about a year and a half to get their arcade group going. Madden from EA came out and flopped miserably, and EA jumped out of the arcade business appropriately. But the people that were working in the arcade group, 6 of us left and went and founded a company called Blue Shift, which did Vapor TRX as a contract for Atari Midway. And so we created that. It was a 3DFX based hardware with a hard drive. And it was very different for the whole group. I mean, John Solwitz, Dave Ralston, again, lead designers on that. And then I was doing the graphics programming and the gameplay, a lot of the gameplay. I did the AI, the catch-up AI. I had a blast doing the shatter animation of the signs, and Dave Ralston did all the level design and layout, and John Solwitz did everything that I didn't do, which was a whole lot of stuff, because I was just focused on the core. And we had a unique graphic system to optimize the rendering that was kind of a pre-rendered. Since it was a racetrack, we kind of pre-rendered it as you drove through it, and then we had a way to pick out a set of polygons that you would see from different angles. And we only had to throw those up on the screen. We didn't have to runtime call them or check anything. We just had a list.
That was because of the limitations of the technology at the time, right? I mean, you couldn't do a lot of rendering at the time with what we had for compute.
We could draw a lot more than we could process on the CPU. So we had to pre-calc as much as we could on the CPU so that it wasn't much work. Yeah. And that I love that game. I have one in storage that I don't even know if it works. I'd love to pull out.
I had on my my MAME cabinet over here. That's where I very first played it. Actually, I tripped across it by accident, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I had a blast playing it. And it reminded me of the later games of the Arctic. What is it? It's Hydro Thunder. Yeah, that's what it feels like. They stole everything that they played off that and made that game with it, kind of.
Up at the time because Hydro Thunder was in development at the same time.
Okay.
We didn't know it, and it was the same company. Midway was developing Hydro Thunder. They owned Atari, and we were developing Vapor TRX, and we did not know it. And their cabinet blew ours away.
Man.
And some of their particle effects and their graphic quality was totally different, but it was really awesome. I love
slick, yeah.
But we didn't even know until we actually got to market that we were competing with our own product.
Isn't that crazy how like nobody communicates? It's like you're in your own little like shell, Yeah. And then it's like the company doesn't tell you anything. It's like, yeah, just keep working on it, and you guys keep working on that, even though they're similar.
And then we did a port of Hydra Thunder to, I think, the PS1. So it was pretty funny that we went back and did that.
Oh wow!
I got to. I wasn't on the team that did it, but I got to port all the particle effects, and that was quite fun. Doug Snyder, actually, the hardware engineer I've mentioned several times, did the water simulation for conversion to optimize it to run for the boats. It was really a cool system they did for the waves and the water physics and simulation.
You didn't have anything to do with the Dreamcast version, did you?
No.
Okay,
No,
so that's the one I played, and it was really a slick version of it.
Was it THQ? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I remember playing.
I think it is.
It is. It might have been the same group who did the PS1 version, the PlayStation version. But I wasn't part of that. But they already had the PlayStation version to work off of. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, no, I loved Vapor TRX. It's probably one of my favorites. My kids love it. So that's really cool.
Well, that speaks volumes. Yeah.
Yeah.
My youngest son, I think when it came out, was 5, and he loved it. I've got a picture of him sitting on the ride-on and playing the game, and it's one of my favorite memories.
Oh, cool. That's really
So
cool.
I hope to get it back to working. He doesn't want me to get rid of any of my arcade games.
Good for him.
Yes.
Yeah, you raised him right.
Well,
Yeah,
especially prototypes. I mean, those are like historical pieces, really.
The problem is the space they take.
Space.
Yes.
We know.
Hey.
We know. Don't remind us.
I know.
Yeah, I know. You guys have.
I always make the argument, at least I'm not into collecting cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Andrew.
I heard one of your shows when you guys were talking about what
Or washing machines.
what new room. I think you were talking about what new room would you put games in if you had to overflow your arcade.
Oh, wait, that was an old
Oh, that
question we
must
used
have
to do.
been
old.
Yeah, remember that, Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Knock out
we
this
were
wall
more
right
drunk
there.
back then. You got it's tame now. We got old.
Ed was on here.
We got old.
Right. I look back at our
Oh,
old
I
early
know.
shows, and they're
Our
like,
shows would go till 1 a.m. Yeah, we were nuts.
yeah, exactly,
Oh,
5
Sure,
hours.
yeah.
Yeah, 3 a.m. here.
It was
Yeah.
fun, but-
Five listeners. And
I used a lot of sick days for Wednesdays back then.
I remember that question though, because we used to try
Yeah.
to struggle coming up with
Yeah.
questions every week. And eventually we just went, let's just forget the questions.
So
Yeah,
in our
yeah.
first house, my wife will tell you her nightmare was my putting 2 games in our dining room. So we had a
Oh,
formal dining room.
that's my
Not
wife's
formal.
nightmare.
Like it was a small house, but there was a dining room, and the china cabinet was there, and the nice table, and there in the corner were a couple of the games. So.
See, technically mine would be in the dining area, but I got rid of the kitchen table and stuff. So
Just eat on your cocktail, right?
yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Like
I
that's
That's the
why we have
difference, though.
cocktail
Yeah.
games, because then you put. I think I had the idea of trying to put like 3 of them together if you have the right orientation and the right height. And
But,
You know-
but it's easy for me because I'm a bachelor. I live in an
skirt over
apartment,
it.
so yeah.
Get a-
tablecloth.
Get a Tempest, a
Yeah.
Space Duel, and a Centipede.
there you
That's
go.
the same
Cocktails.
dimension.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah.
I want a
Cocktail.
hamburger, no a
Yeah.
cheeseburger.
Exactly. And at Thanksgiving, you put like a pad down and then
hamburger.
and then,
No
and
cheese.
then a tablecloth, and you're set. Because how often do you really want to eat at a dining room table? Not that often. How often do you want to play arcade games? Quite
Well, that's just
frequently.
it. Like
Oh,
I had
that's
never,
space
I did. The only time I used that table was to do work on projects, and so it was. That's why it was like, well, this is silly because anytime I eat, I'm going to sit on the couch, in front of the TV. So why do I even have this? Mom, here, take this. Yeah,
You have all that stuff in an apartment?
yeah.
That's
I know.
impressive.
Now you understand why I don't have Marble Madness. I had to make space for another game.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah,
That's impressive. That's dedication.
I have space for one more. Then I'm after this project. Then I'm done. Then I'm maxed out, and I liked Marvel Madness too. The only reason why I sold Marvel Madness is it gets to a point where it's like I have to look and see which game do I play the least, and it's not like I'd never played it, but if like I was looking at all my games, I'm like, sadly that's the one I much rather play that when I have people over. But if it's just me, yeah. So
yeah, it's not.
I had a good run. I had a good 6 years with it, and it's in a good home now. So
yeah,
I sold it for top dollar.
Oh, nice! Congrats. That's good news. I saw one for, I don't know.
Oh, prices are crazy high now.
$8,000 for a brand new one that somebody had built, I guess from scratch.
That sounds like a Markle or
I don't
a Fizz
know.
gig.
It was a flat screen. Video.
Oh,
it was. Yeah, it was.
No one's gonna pay $8,000 for that.
Yeah. And I heard you guys last week's show. You were talking about Matsushita.
Oh yeah, Matsushita.
Matsushita. Yeah,
the
Matsushita. Those. We used to talk about testing those inside. That was not our favorite monitor.
Oh my God, no.
Were they only found in pole position? That's the only time I've seen them is in pole positions.
I had in oh great, I'm forgetting Missile Command.
Okay.
Pole position burn on it, but it was in your Missile Command.
yeah. Had the game over in the same. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Luckily, it's a dark game though. Yeah.
I think Atari used those monitors in production. I think they just mixed and matched based on where they could get the best price.
What's Atari's deal with making the heaviest cabinets in the world? Like everything's like particle board, and it's like
he knows the answer.
I know. We're just gonna hammer you like you represent Atari. Go.
Actually, you know that answer. It was structure. They did drop tests on cabinets, and they spent a lot of time making sure that the cabinets were sturdy and they would survive drops.
Sweet.
Wow. So they actually did tip over onto a kid, it would really kill it. Just like no chance.
But off a truck,
yeah, they are built like tanks.
Yeah, no, I mean it was a quality issue. They were very proud of the cabinet, the construction, and they went to a lot of trouble testing them and making sure that if they got dropped off a truck or whatever, they were going to survive as best they could. Because they knew they got moved around a lot.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean,
okay, cool fact.
Those assholes, they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
So Marvel Madness is one of the ones that
hate you.
I've talked about before. Like Marvel Madness is one of those ones I'd really like to see like a reboot. Like, right now everything's shut down and Dave & Buster's, no games and all that. But picture like a big screen TV. But you know the game Killer Queen?
Oh yeah,
It's like 5 players.
Yeah.
Picture that, but it's 5 players with trackballs.
Oh,
and then there's like a guy who's like in the middle who's like the big boss, the bad guy or something. And it might be like an oversized trackball. Like, can you just go around trying to roll over all the other trackballs?
Oh, it'd be like was that Pac-Man Party or whatever? The big Pac-Man
versus Pac-Man versus
Battle Royale. That's what
to
it
me,
is.
like,
Battle Royale,
using an actual ball because you're like that's what you're looking at on the screen. And you're rolling.
Everyone's got like a bowling ball.
just the boss. Everyone else has got the regular size track
balls. That's what I was saying. Yeah, everybody else has regular track balls. But the boss, and it moves
just gain an
slower.
arm workout.
It moves slower, but you can't really kill it. You just have to avoid it, and it just kind of slowly rolls around, you're trying to go after all the other guys.
Have you seen the old football game that used? I think they used balls that were
X's and O's or whatever.
Ball games.
They were used like bowling balls. They were huge.
Yeah.
I think Dave Toyer worked on that. And that was incredible. The giant track balls to push around. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, crazy.
Well, I know a lot of people have talked about like someone needs to hack the hardware and add more levels, or
that would be awesome too, like a
remix it or something. Yeah.
Oh, to the original. I know they're doing that to Major Havoc.
Yes.
My boss actually at Apple, Owen Rubin, is the guy that did Major Havoc, and he's been working with someone who's, I guess, doing an FPGA version of Havoc.
Yeah.
And they're adding levels. and doing it within legal somehow. Like they're keeping the original ROMs, and there's a minor hook, I guess, put in to extend the game and add the end game that was never added.
Yep. Yeah,
that was
awesome.
cool. You guys should. I think you invited him on at one point in years past. He mentioned that, but I think
was it here on the Hangout, or it might have been some other?
Yeah,
it might have been some other thing. But he seemed to remember you guys, but maybe not.
Yeah.
But he did say he'd be interested in coming on, so I'll make sure Lewis has his information if you want to talk to him. He's got much better stories than I have.
I don't know about that.
He was.
Even our little IRC chat is pretty quiet tonight. I think everybody's fascinated.
Just listening, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So let me turn it to the hard question. What's the deal with the ROMs for Marble Madness 2?
Oh,
why haven't they been dumped and thrown out to May?
So I've done some research. I've seen that there are supposedly 3 copies of the game in existence. Actually, I think there are 4, 2 of them owned by the same person, Scott Evans. I own 1. Scott actually got his from me. I was given permission to allow him to copy the ROMs and the PALs. He had dead boards, or rather empty boards. When Atari closed down, he bought a whole bunch of stuff, and I was given permission to give him the ROMs and the PALs, and he copied them and gave me back an extra set. And he's done me a lot of other favors. He has something in the works that might financially help him out, and he lost his job. And so I didn't know until like very recently that there was a big public outcry issue about this.
Oh, people have been wanting it for years.
No, let's be direct, right? I mean, it's like we all like this stuff, and it's definitely a game nobody's played. I mean, unless you've been to CAX a couple of times, it showed up.
Yeah,
and it's very interesting and unique. So
and it's been a California extreme.
Yeah,
and I think Scott is setting up next year an actual like multiple cabinets, maybe even with trackballs, for a competition for some kind of experience that he's trying to put together there for California Extreme. But first of all, I don't have the rights to just release the ROMs, obviously legally. But I understand archive.org is a safe place to donate.
I thought there was some other ROMs that recently leaked that were Atari ones, wasn't there? Was it Aka-R or one of those? Like some other
Aka-R got leaked,
Aka-R,
somehow.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happened, because I know Dave Ralston and John Solwitz worked on that. And I think actually one of them sold their Aka-R, and it may have got leaked from that. From the person that bought it. So I don't want to prevent the release of the ROMs, but I can't legally release them. So I'm looking for a way to do that, or have someone release them. And like I said, Scott's got some financial stuff going on, and I'm going to give him a little bit of time to deal with that.
Well, mask your voice and use a different alias, and you'll be a little silhouette. I don't know anything about these marbles.
So you guys are the experts. I mean, how do people put the ROMs in public? Silence. Wow.
I've heard of such things that are called torrents.
Not going to talk.
No, I don't think any one of us has done any ROM dumps. I mean, other than for our own stuff to fix or whatever.
Gotcha.
Just because everything's out there.
We don't have any illegal name ROMs either.
We don't. No, we don't have any. We don't have any prototypes or unique stuff that would be adding.
Yeah.
So I'm going to contact someone at archive.org in the arcade group there, because I know they have stuff that plays online, and see if I can talk to them about how that might be possible. But I'll also, I mean, like I said, I want to give Scott some time, but then once that's that's dealt with, and it's a short time. It's not very long compared to how long the game's been out there. So
we waited 20, 30 years. What's
yeah,
another
exactly.
30, right?
Yeah.
They'll get released. They'll get released. And my favorite part of that game is the pinball waves. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but the bonus waves, every 4 levels, there's a pinball setup where the marble is the pinball, and you bounce
I never got
around
that
with
far.
automated drop targets and flippers and everything. And that was actually one of my designs that I pushed for in there as bonus waves, and I really love that part. So yeah, I'd love to see it more noticed. I was very disappointed when it didn't get published, to say the least.
Yeah. Now, what did that run on different hardware than System
Yeah,
1?
it was a custom hardware. It actually was. It might have been one of the few bitmap hardwares that Atari did. And I can't remember why I had that done, but there was a reason that it was important to have bitmap.
So other than,
it's not like you can go and convert. You can't convert Marble Madness.
You couldn't. Right? Yeah, I was gonna say how that would be cool if like someone did the empty boards
add
and
on
you
little
could
daughter card
populate.
and just plug in.
Oh yeah, like Donkey Kong.
Cartridge.
Our buddy Aaron Crafty Mech, he's gonna have to FPGA it, add it to the bit kit.
Yeah.
BitKit Marble Madness.
All you need is a trackball and
I think it was a 68020 and had floating point support because I was tired of dealing with fixed point. A lazy programmer.
Yeah, I hate that shit too.
Programming
humor.
Yeah,
programming humor.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I got that reference.
The Playfield Creator was written on a Mac, actually. So I wrote a Playfield Creator that you could do layout, and then it would do ray tracing using Mark's algorithm from Marble Madness 1 to create the similar look.
That was ray traced as well, right?
That's like Mario Maker.
Yeah,
everyone can make their own impossible levels.
And I believe that's what they're doing with the Major Havoc too. There's supposed to be some level editor.
Yeah, they've got a level editor for Havoc. Yeah, it's very cool. They presented it at California Extreme. We were talking about it last year.
Yeah. I was going to ask, how many times has Marble Man been at CAX? Have you seen
almost
it there,
every year? Almost every year I've been there.
Yeah, I don't know if it was there last year.
I haven't seen it yet. So
yeah.
What's CAX? Sorry,
California Extreme.
Yeah, we just call it. Yeah, we call it CAX. That's what us cool arcade kids call it.
Yeah,
we're in the know.
So Bob, I don't know why, but I live like a 10-minute drive from Atari Scott. Actually, I live near Sacramento. He's in Roseville. I'm in Rockland.
Oh,
Atari Scott, you mentioned,
Yeah, I was gonna go all stealth.
That's a
knock on his door.
Yeah,
Scott Evans is Atari Scott.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Sorry, we got these code names. Everybody's handles.
I've been just for the record, I've been calling you Atari Bob.
Okay.
Hope you don't hate me.
No, that's
Atari
cool.
Scott is his handle on the arcade forums on Clav.
Okay.
So yeah.
So be
Scott
nice
Evans,
to him. He's a good guy.
For sure.
He's
going back
he's got like every original artwork film to like
a lot of them.
He picked up a lot of stuff from when they closed down the Atari building.
Just amazing.
And they just
I'd like to hear his story.
And he's got a handful of prototypes too. But I remember like a few years ago, like on the collector forums, people get all angry, like, how come you're not sharing these? How come you're not sharing the ROMs of these prototypes? And then like, how can you have these? You need to back these up. You need to like make sure you have them secure. All this, like he might lose them or something.
Right.
I'm like, he's got to have backups. I'm like, he's not an idiot. And so one year at CAX, this was probably 4 years ago or something. It was at California Extreme, about 4 years ago.
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, so it was the Missile Command 2, the cocktail, the 2-player one, where you can kind of go almost head to head.
I played that one,
And I was like, oh shit, it's here for the first time. Like I never saw it before. And I bring a bunch of games every year there too. And so like I'm there when they're powering on all the machines, like before they have power,
Right.
So I'm standing there next to it, and they shut the power on into the room, and I look at it, and it's a freaking Windows 98 screen popping up. So he totally has a backup file. It's a computer under the hood, right?
Yeah.
But like people being all angry, like, how can you not have backup? Like he just won't talk about it, really. Like why get into the?
I would imagine
Again, he's not stupid.
Not allowed. Yeah, he's probably not allowed to do what everybody else wants. I mean, two things.
Right. Right.
If you did all the effort to archive and keep and store and probably storing it for a long time,
and he didn't get them for free either, right?
Like, give it to me for
Right.
free.
He didn't get it for free, and his interest.
It wasn't free.
His interest is in preservation. Obviously, I mean, he's made some custom cabinets and built his own machines, but most of his interest is in preservation.
So have you been to?
Isn't he the one that?
I've been twice.
Okay.
I was there last year with my son, and I was there maybe 3 times actually. I spoke at one of the Atari presentations. I think that was last year or the year before.
Oh, cool.
And then I've been there a couple of times.
So
I'm not there like the whole time. I'm usually there for an hour or two, where I walk through and I go and play Vapor TRX in the back. And
Nice.
So I think it was 2016, so 4 years ago, right? Does that sound right, Andrew?
Yeah.
I think so. So
For the prototype tournament?
Yeah. So
I think it was 16.
Going back years, we've kind of been involved with running tournaments and trying to draw attention to weird games and stuff.
Yeah.
And so the one that we really wanted to do at California Extreme was draw attention to the prototypes, like games that, they're there, but a lot of people will just walk by them and they're like, oh, that's kind of neat, and they don't even play it. So we wanted to do, there he is, he's showing the shirt there. So
nice. Photo hype. Yeah.
So that was the tournament we put on at California Extreme, and but it was kind of crazy because Scott Evans, he had the games at some other warehouse or something, and his lift gate on his truck broke, and it was like at this crazy angle. So like at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night before the show, like I had to pick him up, go over to the place, and we had to load him from his trailer to my trailer so we could actually get the games there. But we actually, I think like maybe 4 or 5 of his games were in the tournament. But always the difficult thing with those, I remember, was because they're development games. They don't really have like
they're not sturdy.
Right, or you can continue really easily your game, because like when you do a tournament, you want to be able to say like I put in effectively 1 quarter, and I just played till the end of the quarter lasted. But it seemed like all those development games, they're either set to free play, or there's some easy continue feature, or they're glitchy. There's no real.
Well,
of course they're glitchy.
For sure. Glitchy for sure.
Yeah. But we still have a few in, but.
Didn't he also have the Beavis and Butthead kind of prototype arcade game? Or was that him? Or was that someone else?
That might be Ken and TJ, but it was either him or the 2 guys that started California Extreme.
Did Beavis and Butthead never get released?
I don't think I only think there's a couple. I think Galvin Ghost, and I think
the Zyla had that game.
Zyla had one.
Yeah.
I want to say there was like 6 of them made.
That was an arcade in
not
Denver, Colorado, near Andrew when she was open.
I remember when they were developing that. I was excited about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You remember the game Nightmare? Like that one I loved. So it's in it. They basically designed it to go in a Tron cabinet. So you have the flight stick and the spinner, and the prototype is in a Tron cabinet. They just took off all the Tron art. Wow. It just says Nightmare, and it's kind of supposed to be a nightmare-ish kind of gameplay. And I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's pretty fun.
Was that Atari or is that someone else?
Yes, I want to say it was Atari. And it's Scott Evans. He owns the game.
Okay, it might have been after my time.
Okay.
There, 90. I left in 94.
Oh, that's the year that T-Mech came out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a fun game.
Then Death Metal. What was it called? It was a driving game.
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, PlayStation. They made like 5, 6? I don't know. They're probably still making them.
Yeah, they made a million.
Those are fun games. The music was good on those too. Yeah.
There's
there was
a
one
couple
other.
of people asking some questions on IRC. One person said loved. So this is Nuclear Warren. He said loved Marble Madness and stared at the magazine print ad for the game and the guys in the ad. And the question is, Bob, is that you pushing the Steely? Was there ever a picture of you pushing a Steely? Steely being the black ball in the black marble in the game.
Yeah, I think Cerny's in there, and I'm not Cerny. So
That's a no.
I think Cerny's standing there. I think Cerny's standing there, and I'm pushing the marble. Yeah, you kind of see my the haircut style, the short on the sides, long in the back.
Nice.
There you
The
go.
mullet.
The mullet.
Yeah, the good old mullet.
The M word.
still-
Yeah.
I still got it.
Hey, Gleek,
A lot of people do it during this pandemic. Yeah.
Gleek, do you have a
Yeah.
picture that you could post?
You got to
My
share
wife-
the story about the gold RX-7. Man,
Oh,
what was the deal?
Yeah, that was.
That was like screaming 80s when you told me that story. So I mean, share
Yeah.
that one if you can.
So, in 19, I think that was like 1982. I was going to school at Cal State Northridge, and I met my my now wife, and needed to impress her. So I went out and extended way past my means and bought a brand new gold RX-7. And when I went to the Atari interview 2 years later, as the guys were walking me out from the interview in the parking lot, they said they saw the car and they were like, "Why do you want to come work here? You're like set." So that was pretty. I was like, "Oh, okay."
And you got the girl, right? I mean, oh, cool.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep.
There you go.
That's it.
I remember that car.
The police car.
The
Oh,
ends
right.
justify the means.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Well, yeah.
And you got the girl.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've ever heard of a guy getting getting the lady with the car. I was like, you
And
have
keeping
a
her.
fancy
And
car?
keeping her.
Well, let's hope there
keep
was
your-
more to it than that.
He wooed her.
I did. I brought flowers and everything.
Oh, a true
Put him in the
gentleman.
door.
Yeah. We have a good story, but that's not arcade stuff. So
Did you ever participate in all the legendary parties and stuff that that we've all heard about the Atari employees did or had? The top levels and jacuzzis and
I heard about them. I was never.
They never
part of
invite
it.
the programmers, man. It's
No,
always the
they
marketing
did.
team.
They did, but unfortunately, I got hired in '84, and '82 I think was the beginning of the downturn.
yeah.
83 was the first bad year, and '84 was definitely the next bad year, relatively speaking. I mean,
Right after ET.
I think they said something like 70,000 Tempests were sold, something like that. And if you look 2 years later, '85, Gauntlet sold, or 3 years later, they sold 10,000 units.
Oh
So
wow.
that kind of gives you a picture
Yeah.
of the decline in the arcade market at that
Damn.
time. So yeah, I mean, I heard about the parties, and I think some of it was still going on when I got hired, but I wasn't in, and I was a kid, relatively speaking, to the others at that time. So
You didn't get invited
Yeah,
to
it's some-
jacuzzi parties
uh,
like Gak has back there.
Yeah, that's right.
no, but some of the other guys that you might invite on me have information about that they might be willing to share.
Owen Ruben.
So the only other oh, there you go. Yeah, that was me. Oh,
That
my
is you.
God.
Oh wow.
Off on the right.
On the right,
I
yeah.
had my leather,
That's awesome.
I had
That's
a wide leather band watch that I used to wear. Oh
Aha.
my God. And I
That's
actually
awesome.
had a dress shirt on. That's weird. I only wore shorts and flip flops and stuff yeah. That was the sell sheet. And
Sweet.
That's Mark.
That's great.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice pickup. I should make sure I have a copy of that picture somewhere.
I'll
I
send you the
think I
link later.
do. Okay, cool, thanks.
You should show it to your kids. Go, look, I was in magazines
I'm
everywhere.
Exactly.
I'm the model.
I remember
Well,
that ad actually.
I
So
don't know if you can find it now. I have a couple print copies of it, but
I
when
think I
was
saw it
down
in
in
Electronic Gaming Monthly or something.
yeah, no, I'm actually, there was another article that I was featured in LA or San Fernando Valley when I lived there, when I was doing Apple II products. And I was, there was an article, Wizards something. And I got to do an interview there, and they had a picture of me, and I was pretty excited about that. I bragged about someday making $100,000 in a year. And that was pretty,
20-year-old.
I was looking to be bigger than I would be, but I had a lot of fun, and I clearly I was able to make a living and have meet a lot of great people. So
It's awesome.
and the people at Atari were a fantastic group of people, without a doubt. As all the other jobs I've had, I've been really lucky working with great people, except for a short time at Electronic Arts, about 6 months. Other than that, I've been very lucky with the people that I've worked with, and I'm happy to be working at Apple now. I mean, that's, like I said, when I came up in '84 to interview, Apple
The
was
fruit
one of the
company, as
places
Lewis would say.
Yes.
I wanted to work for. I wanted to work for 3 companies: Apple, Atari, and EA, and I've been lucky enough to work for all
Bagged
3.
it.
So
Biggins,
Yeah.
yeah.
can't do worse than that.
Yeah, hat trick.
That's great. So in the IRC, I just posted a picture of that Nightmare machine.
Okay. I got knocked out of it somehow.
Oh, it's all the Gleek's fault. I'm just kidding.
Let me know when you're back in. I'll repost it. Yeah, there it is.
there we go.
I
Oh,
see it.
okay.
So it's a Tron cabinet. They just took off the Tron art and
Oh yeah.
makeshift marquee. I found a YouTube clip of the gameplay too, but
What the hell's the game on the left? Looks like
Dragons.
some form of Moon Patrol.
It's
Moon
like
Patrol,
Dragon
but
Warrior or something like that. I can't remember the name of
Okay.
it.
Well,
Like there's 4. Yeah. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
so
Moon
great.
good
Patrol.
enhance. Zoom and enhance.
Yeah.
You just hit one button. You know, if you could do the zoom and
Yeah,
enhance, why don't they just lead with
Enhance.
that?
If you know the Atari cabinet Liberator, that's what that cabinet's in, by the way.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a- it's a
Liberator.
Liberator cabinet.
Rectify. No, I'm just kidding.
You just can't help yourself.
Yeah,
Oh,
Liberator.
that I was like I walked away for a second and I was just laughing by myself off camera, like for like a minute straight about that's Gak's mutant power.
Yeah, it
I
is.
just couldn't stop
His
laughing.
X power.
That's my self-defense. That's my defense mechanism. Like, how's that gonna save my life someday? I don't know.
The Berserk cabinet, Berserk cabinet.
Hyper depth.
Yeah, the Berserk cabinet. That was a nice- my dad bought that for me for $110 from
man.
an arcade that was shutting down here in San Mateo. Actually, it was Foster City. That was called the Gold Mine, and it was shutting down, and they had it priced at $110, and it's in great shape.
Oh wow.
So
So
Bob,
I-
what year was that? How long have you had that game then?
That was in 1990.
Yeah, it was in the early night. It must have been early '90s because I've had it a very long time.
Well, about time to recap those monitors. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you end up actually working on your games? Like, do you ever like, oh, I got to recap the monitor, or,
This
So,
game's acting funny.
I
or...
did electronics in high school, and I installed car telephones when they were big pizza boxes.
Ooh.
So I know electronics, but I have never actually worked on my own games. It's sad. I just don't have the
See,
time.
Jack's
he's
feeling a
been in
little
this
better right
game
now.
Way longer than me, guys.
Yeah,
I just
we're
don't
still
have
gonna give you
time.
shit. Okay.
Yeah, I actually, my Space Lords that you see there
Yeah.
has a problem because I moved it, and it's a prototype, and the motherboard or the board was not mounted inside the cabinet, and I
Oh
forgot,
no.
and it fell over on top of the power supply, and
Whoops.
so something got shorted. I tried messing with stuff, simply, but I didn't do any testing of voltages or anything. So I don't know if I'm gonna spend time on it or not. But that's why you see the sign on it. Oops.
I love it.
Yeah.
Sign there.
Yeah,
There we
yeah.
go.
So most of the games I have only get turned on once a year. We have a Super Bowl party, and so all the kids can go out and play the games while the adults watch the game and talk. So the kids aren't bored.
How many games do you have, Bob? It was kind of hard to.
I have 9 total, 6 in my garage. So 3
Nice.
are out at other locations. I have a Gauntlet 4-player a Gauntlet 2 4-player that has production art on it. It's actually I think it's a production cabinet at a friend's
Sweet.
house. It has some color issues. I have the Space Lords that's almost production cabinet. Everything else is prototype. I have a Skull and Crossbones in storage. That was actually one of the other games that I
That's a
designed.
cool game.
That was an
It's
attempt
a weird, cool game.
at doing. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, but that's
Don't
what's
they have-
appealing about it.
Yeah,
I
don't
was
they have that
We
one?
played it
at
at Grakers.
Yeah. Yeah,
With the
that
weird
was-
the crazy marquee. Yeah.
Which is
I was
like
looking
Escape
for-
from Robot Monsters, right? Isn't it
I
kind of
was
like a
looking for
big
Errol
extended
Flynn.
marquee?
Type game.
Yeah.
Errol Flynn.
Jack.
Errol Flynn type.
Errol
type
Flynn,
gameplay.
Mhm.
sword
Yeah.
fighting and all that.
Pirate
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah, with
I
the
actually-
pirate, with the parrot, if I were. Yeah.
With the parrot, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on the AI system for that. It was based on a Scientific American article that I read on Matchbox AI, where you try something and then based on the success of that something, you mark it as good or bad in terms of being able to try it again in the future. And so it was a learning system where the enemies would learn based on, like, if you attacked high all the time, they would just be able to defend you because they would learn that's where you were going.
They've adapted, Captain.
And unfortunately, at the time, Double Dragon was the big success, and Double Dragon was more about hack and slash than thinking. Street
Elbow
Fighter,
smash.
yeah, Street Fighter was more about knowing combos.
Yeah, now you're
and
speaking
I
my
was
language.
and I was and I was kind of in between. So unfortunately, I had to dumb down the AI completely, and not do what I wanted to do with that. But it was an attempt to try to create smart players, and players don't want to be smart.
They want to mash. They want to mash the buttons.
I want to get drunk and mash the buttons and
overthinking
win.
things. You know, just like Marvel Madness do, overthinking things. That's why I don't do game design. I just like to implement other people's ideas because I can do that. That was the way I started, right? Imitating arcade games that were successful. So that's I can put someone's vision
Smart.
into life.
Yeah, I remember Skull and Crossbones being when like trying it out and being like, oh, wait a minute, this is a lot of fun. I mean, it just was. I think
It's
it was
bizarre,
free.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was quirky and fun. And yeah, and
But that's a compliment. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what you
yeah,
do. Yeah,
yeah,
I like that.
yeah, and it's it
It's
has a sense
quirky.
of humor to it.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
Which
And
is
the
delightful.
The artist that worked on it, a lady named Bridget Erdman, who is still doing game development, actually
Wow.
from Amsterdam or something. I don't know. Wonderful. She was new to Atari at the time, and she did all the animation based on some image capture footage, not actually real digital capture like they do today. But we did videotaping of people doing swordplay, and then she did the animation based on that. And we went for a double horizontal resolution relative to normal hardwares. So the hardware did a double horizontal resolution.
I have no idea what that means. Can you
better
dumb that one
quality.
down for me?
Sure.
Double horizontal.
Like
So
medium
the
res?
pixels- So
Or
it was like
medium
a
res,
cross.
right?
It was a cross between standard res and medium res.
Okay.
Oh,
where
okay.
just
1.5.
the horizontal- Yeah, just the horizontal was doubled.
Oh.
Not the vertical, because that was
Widescreen.
Ah,
We didn't have to go with. We could use standard monitors. I think was the idea.
Ah, okay.
So we didn't have to go with a more expensive monitor. The hardware was more expensive to get the frequency up for horizontal, and I think that was another Doug Snyder special. But it was a lot of that, as you say, it was quirky and fun. And we actually did. I was lucky enough to do the Nintendo Entertainment System port of that game.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, wow.
So that
I didn't
was
even know they had one.
yeah.
Sweet. No, a lot of us like the quirky. I mean, that's what makes them stand out. And it's like an evolution of collecting these games. Like you start out, like a lot of us, I think, start out with the iconic stuff, and then you start to appreciate the more obscure stuff that maybe isn't as common for what it is. Like, for example, like one of my favorite games is Rockola's Eyes, which is a maze, clone of Pac-Man, but you're an eyeball and you're shooting the dots and stuff, and it's got weird sounds and stuff. So like, there's
You're also
and there's
the
a ton.
record holder on that, right? The
Yeah,
world record
all
holder?
four of us that exist that go after that game seriously. But yeah, so it's but there's all kinds of games like, and Rockola's a jukebox company, but for some reason they decided to do like 8 arcade games during the big boom. So all that stuff that's really bizarre, that's what stands out these days I think for a lot of us that have been in this hobby for any amount of time.
Yeah, well, that was my attempt. I mean, Skull and Crossbones was really, like I said, I was a fan of Errol Flynn swashbuckling adventure, and so I was trying to figure out how to get that into a game, and the parrots were definitely the quirky comedy aspect of that.
That cabinet's got the, like Yak was saying, the cool oversized marquee, just like Escape from the Planet of Robot Monsters.
Right, it was done about the same time, I think.
I just looked it up. It was done in '89, and I think Robot Monsters was right around that same.
Either the same cabinet or it's almost identical.
Yeah,
Atari tried to reuse production stuff, so that way if a run went short, they could reuse the cabinets.
So I think it was also around probably during the years you were there. Some of the Atari guys broke off and did Sente. Right?
Oh yeah.
So
that was
did you have a bunch of coworkers like bail and go to do that, or? Yeah.
So the funny thing is, the 6 months after I got there, or about 6 months, my boss Owen Rubin was one of the guys that left Atari and went with Bally Sente. Ed Rotberg, Rich Adam, Owen Rubin, Howie. He was a hardware guy.
Okay.
I don't remember his last name at the moment. I apologize, Howie. But yeah, they went and they did Bally Sente. That was actually with Nolan Bushnell after Pizza Time, and I was really pissed at them because I had just gotten to Atari and I felt an allegiance, and these guys were left and competing with us. And they were at the show that Marble Madness and Paperboy were presented the first time. And so I was really, but I got over it. I realized they had good reason for what they did. And
I don't think any of them were really a big commercial success, any of those games. I mean, there's a few that I really love,
Snake
Chicken
Pit.
Shift and Snake Pit.
Snake Pit, yeah.
Yeah, those are two great ones.
Didn't they do a pool game too? Maybe not.
There's mini golf.
They did a bunch based on a combo hardware for kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Atari System 1. It's a cartridge kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like how Marble Madness is. It's just a daughter card basically in a harness to your control panel.
That was Marble was the first of the System 1.
And that's basically what they did with that Sente, the SAC 1 system or whatever it's called.
Yeah. There was and Owen, if you get him on, he'll tell you all about that stuff. He was there.
Yeah.
or Ed Rotberg or Rich Adam, any of those guys. They had older Atari stories as well, so they did some awesome games.
They were at the parties, is what you're telling us.
Yeah.
We should ask them about because you came too late and we're too young for the parties.
I'm going to take the fifth on that. I don't know. I cannot confirm or deny that. The only thing I can say is that Peter Lipson introduced me to Frank Zappa. So that's and I love Frank Zappa now. So
awesome.
I've been listening ever since 1987 to Zappa. So Peter Lipson was great. He did the arcade Indiana Jones game for System 1, and I worked with him on the Nintendo Entertainment. Yeah, the Nintendo Entertainment System Indiana Jones conversion of that. I worked with him on that. That was fun. And he was one of the guys that interviewed me. Kari, great guy. He's working for Toys for Bob now. He worked on some of
Those are the guys that make the Skylanders, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is that still a thing?
It was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think the Nintendo things took over, didn't it?
Amiibo.
Amiibos, yeah.
Amiibo, yeah.
Nintendo's like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's steal it.
Yeah.
I sold my Rampart to a guy from Toys for Bob. I actually like brought it up to him. They're up in the North Bay.
Yeah.
I delivered it, and I got the offices were pretty cool. They had like this whole tiki theme going on. It was nuts.
The
I
guy,
was like, oh, this is like Candy Paradise.
Right? I'm like, that sounds like a dream job right there. I want my work to be like a tiki.
I think the guy that owns it was an ex-EA guy who had done some of the early games for Electronic Arts. A great guy. He had done some awesome product. And Peter's been working there a very long time. So you may have sold it to Peter, because that was Ramparts was definitely one of our favorite games inside when John and Dave did that.
It's a cool game.
That's a great game.
3-player trackball or
strategy.
joystick?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3-player. It was trackball, wasn't it?
It's trackball.
It was trackball, but they also released a 2-player joystick version for.
Oh yes, the 2-player. Yeah.
I actually have both boards here, so someday I'll get around to building another cabinet. Carrie helped me out building that cabinet. That was a crazy story on that cabinet.
Yeah.
We'll not bring it up this time, but I remember.
Does it involve Wyoming? No.
The Wyoming of Southern California.
Don't say the W word.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll jinx it.
W for the win.
We don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
You guys work on
For the Wyoming.
harnesses?
That's what that acronym means. So.
Work
You
on
guys
the
work on
what?
the harnesses as well when you build those cabinets out. You have to build the wire harness, the whole bit.
Yep.
Wow, that's
That's
a
a
lot
pain
of
in the
work.
ass.
Yeah, I was gonna say I knew the
I'm only
people
doing
that
it for
worked.
1 or 2, so it's all good.
Yeah, the people that worked in the harness department, I remember that was a lot of work putting together that stuff.
What did that look like? I've never thought about like what would mass production of wiring harnesses look like.
Don't they have like little spindles or whatever, and they're just kind of it's a board, and they're just kind of going
in the factory. Yeah, in the factory. I was referring to the people who actually did the original harness diagram and set up the original prototype.
Oh,
harnesses.
the schematics and
So they do that part, and then they fed that to the factory. I only got to see the factory, which was next door actually, a couple of times. There was, we played volleyball
here in Sunnyvale, right? I mean, at the time it was towards what I picture now as the dump, but I mean, next to the dump were all these commercial properties, and I think Atari was like very close to that, right?
They had a massive amount. I started in a building in a pair of buildings in Milpitas, and then moved to Sunnyvale, and then we ended up at the end location. I think it was on McCarthy. And there were just 2 buildings at the very end. There was the factory and the development building, pretty small, right next to each other. And those are the buildings that got shut down in the very end. And I only got to see that factory. I walked through a couple of times for Gauntlet and no, not for Gauntlet. Sorry. It must have been for Zybots. Zybots and probably Skull and Crossbones. I got to look through because it was really cool to see the testing stations that they had set up there. They had a machine called the Pat 9000, maybe.
Yep.
Pat something. that was named after Pat McCarthy, who was like the head hardware engineer guy. Awesome guy. And so it was named after him because he created it. And they used that to test all the hardwares that came through, and it was adapted for each game hardware. Oh, see that Marble Madness right up close in your background. The AI on Marble Madness was all an interpreted language that I created. It was scripted in code, but it was an interpreted, like, move left or go right or try to get to the player kind of a language, very simplistic, but it was used for all the critters in the game.
Oh, that's cool.
The video of the Slinky.
I'm nerding out. I'm sorry, but
just reminded me. Yeah, because they automatically would go back to their paths. They had programmed paths, and they would go after the marble, and then they would go back to their programmed paths.
I like making the jump in the third stage. That's my biggest gratification. Hopping right onto that center platform at the beginning of the third stage. You can, if you crank the trackball hard.
Oh yeah.
And then that'll save you a few seconds of trying, instead of navigating through that closed maze.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if you fuck it up though, then you're kind of SOL, or you lose some seconds, because you can only do it on the first shot. It's really hard to hit it again because you spawn a little bit offset.
Right. Yeah, the spawn points were all pre-programmed. They're set points to recover you. And then NVIDIA, actually, it's funny, NVIDIA last year for their developers conference did a video of a marble in a room, and they totally ripped off Marble Madness. They had a marble running through a bunch of obstacles, some of which were not visual, but mechanically direct mimics of what Marble Madness had. And when the marble falls, they did the same squeal sound derivative. It was nice. It was actually, from my perspective, a tribute.
Made you feel good?
Draw a little attention.
Were they showing off like the RTX stuff or something with that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They were showing off their new hardware.
Yeah.
Their ray tracing stuff.
Yeah.
It was very cool. So that was neat.
So do you have
I was upset at
why
first,
Marble
but then
2 was never released? Do you know why Marble 2?
Oh,
just because
you joined a little too late.
Whatever, Gino.
You have to watch this in rerun.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm late.
It's up to you guys.
Bob said it's all his fault.
It's all my fault.
Here's a better question. Bob, if you ever decide to rip it for, I know we talked about that earlier, would you want to implement the trackball again for that rip, for whatever the latest build is?
I would love to. I have no idea how I would get an environment set up to do the reprogramming on it. I have the source code.
Yeah.
I have the source code, but like I said, Scott Evans actually worked with a guy named Dave Shepard from Atari, who was our systems guy. He did our compilers and ran our main computer systems, and actually did some low-level software for some of the runtimes. But he worked with him, and they actually totally rebuilt the development environment that we had there for Marble Madness 2, which were like X-term stations on a VAX computer. And I mean, they had everything set up, including the emulators that we used. And he worked, and he got some of the trackball stuff working, but I don't think it was fully functional. I don't remember where it was left off. I don't know if he ran out of money to keep funding it, or just sidetracked and busy.
The prototype that you have there is in your possession, is that a trackball one or a joystick one?
No, it's joystick. Yeah.
Joystick,
I don't know of any functioning trackball version. Like I said, it was trackball to begin with. And then after the first field test, we flipped it out, and I had them preserve it in the hardware. The Lita chip is there, I think, in the hardware, or at least a socket for it. And there's a jumper, I think, on the board to flip between joystick and trackball. And the software actually at some point was made to read that, because we weren't sure which way we were going to release it. but then we compiled out the software in the last set of ROMs that I
What
had.
kind of joysticks did they use for that? Were they anything special? Like were they the
Hall effect,
Hall
Leaf or
effect
Phil.
or
Like
just
food-
regular
food
micro
fight,
switch or
weird
leaf
ones.
They were 8-directional leaf switch.
Okay.
They
Okay.
were not the analog Hall effect because those were more expensive.
Sure. Yeah.
There was a lot of cost thought when we were building games in terms of producing the least production cost, and Hall effects were more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're telling me now. Now, if you
Yes,
want
now
to
that's
find,
even-
you pay such a premium. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like $250 to get a Hall effect joystick nowadays.
Wow.
Everything is ridiculously expensive right
And like
now.
a regular Atari logo stick would be like $50, $70 maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the Atari logo. Yep.
Yes. If it wasn't Atari logo, it'd be like $15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a Steel Talons?
Ooh.
Steve does at Gringers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he
Okay.
does.
He has it in the
That
back.
was one of Ed Log's games. It was awesome. The choplifter game, sit down, or chopper, flying
Mhm.
a chopper.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I
was
watch people play it. I don't know how to play it.
it was one of the more abstract, I think, gameplays like hard driving, and it was on the same hardware or similar hardware, maybe an uprev from hard driving. I don't know if anybody has any of those either.
I'm pretty sure I turned it down, Steel Talons down for like $100 once. It was just too
Wow.
big. Like I can't even get this
Those
freaking
stores.
thing in my truck. It's huge.
Hard
Mhm.
driving was one of my favorites too. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
huge cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a
Great
huge
feedback
turnkey.
controls. Great feedback controls though for the steering wheel.
Oh
Yeah, really, really strong motors in those things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would
I
kick
remember
your
that.
ass if you were if you were
The
holding on to
steering
it.
wheel
Right?
fighting.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they did race driving, which was the improved version.
Yeah, I had the loop to loop and all that. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good stuff. I didn't work on that, but I got to play test it a lot.
When you were at Atari, was there any Laserdisc stuff going on at that time? Like, I remember hearing about,
Roadrunner.
the Roadrunner thing, and
Yep.
I also heard about maybe a Battlestar Galactica in development, or I don't know if that was you guys at Atari or not. But well, you had Firefox, I think, right? Wasn't that-
Firefox was done
Firefox?
just before I got there.
Okay.
And Ed Log was working on Roadrunner while I was doing Marble Madness. So he was working on the Laserdisc Roadrunner. And I think they had so much problems with the hardware or else problems in the field with previous, like the Firefox, that they bailed on that. And then I'm sure you saw the Roadrunner that came out on System 1 later.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
was-
Cax has had hasn't Cax had the Laserdisc one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on it's on YouTube. Yeah, that Cax had it at one time. I don't know how many
With all
years
the
it's
little
been
inner
there.
cut scenes and stuff.
It was
Yeah.
neat because every time the Roadrunner
Yeah.
would hit, like, no, it was when the Roadrunner would avoid
Coyote.
the truck, but the truck would hit the coyote. It would cut to a cut scene.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cartoon when the coyote would look up and see the truck and wham, and it'd do the
Right.
colorful explosion, and it was neat. I thought it was a
was-
great idea.
Yeah, it was great. Ed Log, I mean, he always had an intuition about the market, and it was a shame that the mechanics just didn't allow it
Yeah,
to get produced.
it
Too
might
many
have been
variables for something to go wrong.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was using the disc differently than other games that put more pressure on it, or what. But
I mean, even
he would-
even today, I mean, a lot of the laser discs have petered out, right? So most of the time, folks that are doing laser disc type games are converting them over to things that run on Flash and whatnot. Daphne, I think it's called, or
No,
Oh.
Daphne's
you probably know
Dexter.
more.
Daphne's the PC
Dexter.
version. So yeah, it's Dexter.
Daphne's the emulation, but Dexter is the hardware that emulates the laser disc
player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do they have? What do they do with hard drive games that Atari produced? Vapor TRX is one of them, but some of the others were. There was a shooting game that was fairly popular.
A lot of people do
Area
complex.
51.
Yeah.
A lot
There
of
were
people do
51.
compact flash
Yes,
or
compact flash.
solid state drives, but a lot of the older ones, they'll do compact flash because you can just get in like a
Solid
ID
state.
to
Oh.
to compact flash adapter,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of
Yeah,
instructions for that.
I
Just to
would
kind of
think you would,
bulletproof it.
yeah, I would
So
think you wouldn't
one
want
less
the
mechanical
hard drive.
part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think you wouldn't want the hard drive in there.
Yeah, I did
Right.
that. I used to have a Rush the Rock. That's like a 97.
Oh yeah, Rush the
Oh
Rock.
yeah, the green.
So I did the compact flash conversion on that one years ago.
That would
Yeah,
definitely make it more stable and live longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Do you
great.
recall another game I remember seeing footage of prototype is Gremlin, like from the movie Gremlins?
Oh yeah, Franz Lonziger. Yeah.
So
No.
But all I've seen is like and I
Maybe
think
not.
it's
Dennis
Scott
Hopper.
Evans. He put a clip on YouTube or something,
Yeah.
and it's just like a little bit of gameplay. It's like in a kitchen or something, and they're all kind of like creating havoc, and you're trying to catch them or something. I don't know.
I think that actually was Dennis
Sweet.
Harper. That was a Paperboy hardware. It was a System 2 game. I
Wow.
think they were working on.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it even made it to a field
You have
test
to put the
or
gremlin
not.
in the blender and the microwave, and just like the movie. It's all graphic. It's right.
Bob,
Yeah,
I
we
remember
tried to
playing,
get.
I remember playing another Polygon game. You were saying Steel Talons earlier, and the Gold Mine. Gold Mine used to be a test spot for Atari. They used to bring a lot of their games there, and I remember playing a game there. It was like I said, this is a Polygon game. It was about the time of hard driving. I think they were field testing it, but I never saw it released. Almost like Steel Talons, where you'd fly around a helicopter. You're kind of sitting in a cockpit, and the object of the game was to fly the helicopter and put out fires on buildings. Was that something Atari put out?
I remember there was one called Airborne, I think.
That might have
been a plane, I want to say.
It was definitely a helicopter.
Yeah, I don't remember that. It might have been another derivative of Steel Talons early.
Right.
They might have started off with that. Ed Log would know that, at least if it was related to Steel Talons. I don't remember that. We did a lot of testing down at Sunnyvale Golfland. So Goldmine, I guess we must have tested at. None of the games I worked on were tested at Goldmine. So and you missed it earlier. I was saying when Goldmine shut down, I got my Berserk there.
I did hear that. I was
okay. So you heard that part. So but yeah, they might have done a lot of testing, I guess, at Goldmine. But Sunnyvale Golfland was they wanted places closer to Milpitas and Sunnyvale for a majority, or at least the early tests, and then they would go wider.
Yeah, logistically, it'd be so easy, right? I mean, it's walking distance from me, Golfland, from where I live. And,
oh wow!
I would imagine it's very close to where the original Atari manufacturing was, where you could like drag a machine out and not have to drive, very far to get it up in front of people to play.
Yeah, they actually all the prototypes came out of the development offices. The factory didn't. The factory was producing the mass production units, so they didn't build the prototypes. And the prototypes.
So the sequence was you guys put together a prototype and then you dragged it out to the Golfland, for example. It got tested, and then some bigwig got a thumbs up or thumbs down on whether it made it to the next level.
Yeah, marketing and sales, and then Dan Van Elderen, I guess, ultimately made that decision. But yeah, they had mostly a good group of people there. Like I said, I was upset at the time with the sales for Gauntlet, but just because I knew how much the cabinet cost to selling to the distributors, it was really a low price relative to other products, and it was more players. Yeah, there you go. So I was disappointed in that, but I was
switching it up.
I can't complain. I was so lucky. to have been on those products, and they were successful. And you know, I was able to make my dream come true. I actually went to a consumer show to show off my Apple II products. I went to I guess it was CES up here in San Francisco, and I wasn't actually showing my product. I was just visiting, and I drove up from LA, and I saw a booth for Atari, and there was a guy, Robin Ziegler, who ended up at Google being the evangelist for Google Earth, but he did a lot of pinball games, and I talked to him at that show, and he's part of the reason I ended up wanting to work for Atari. He didn't understand that years later. He thought it was pretty funny that he made such an impression on me, but he was a great
you
guy.
ungrateful
Cool.
little
You guys want to try to see me fail at playing Marble Madness since I have it running?
Why not?
Actually,
Bring
when-
Coastrin.
Yeah, we can.
The pain and suffering of can you guys actually hear it when it goes off, or do I have to-
yeah, I can hear that.
Can you kill the lights? Because we're getting a lot of glare
Yeah,
on the.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Lights.
You know what's interesting about the Roadrunner prototype? Because somebody posted a link to it on IRC. Interesting thing on that is that on that prototype, the bird seed isn't necessary to pick up. Like, remember how there's like 5? You can't miss any. If you miss one, you know, it's like you only have a certain amount. But that in the prototype, it was just for extra points, and he would scatter them sometimes near some of the landmines and stuff. So it was like kind of a risk reward thing. But later on, I mean, it was like necessary. You have to pick up all of them, just about. After 5, that's it.
Build up points sequencing. You get more and more points for each one you picked up.
Oh, I don't know. I can't see it close enough to see if that is. I should look at that. But
no, I
find it interesting that it wasn't that early. It wasn't a necessary thing you had to do, because it's hard enough. That game's hard enough. Why add the bird seed element like that?
I never do that.
So
I always get
hard.
53. Always. When you try and jump that, if you fuck it
Right,
up, 53 is my time. It's not worth it.
The jump.
9 times out of
It
10.
is
I don't think the
worth
jump's
it,
worth
though.
it. I never did. I saw not Bardelli, Jim Bodini do it, and I'm like, nope. I always get
You have to
53.
do it perfect.
See, I hate. Oh, see right there. It's not worth it.
Can we present?
It's not worth it.
Yeah,
It's
present
not
our
worth doing it.
danger.
Oh,
There we
nice.
go.
Thanks for
Oh,
presenting.
That was good. That was
Oh,
good.
he's sucking. That's
well
okay.
played on the ice.
No.
All right,
That's
so
the one you're
are you gonna
talking
go
about,
for
Jim.
it?
How's he gonna
You have to
handle
go
this?
horizontal.
Oh, you see right there. It's not
Oh,
worth
it
it.
Oh, that's-
Jim, I saw you try and do it like 3 times, like this guy's
Yeah.
doing.
There you
I don't even
go.
remember
Oh,
what the
all
line
right.
is.
Actually,
on
I'll
that.
usually attempt it once, but then I
I saw
I miss
people
it,
try
then I
that
don't.
so many times. I just gave up doing that.
you
No,
have
we're-
to know which angle
Well,
it is.
He's under
and-
pressure now because
Oh
Yeah.
no!
Yeah, no
That's
pressure
good.
there,
Oh.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played it in years.
You must have a different
whatever.
ROM.
You
You
own
must
the
have.
darn
Ooh, that was
thing.
pretty good.
You must have a different ROM revision or something, because your marble's moving way faster than mine did.
Does seem really fast, doesn't it, Jim?
Yeah, it does.
I have no idea which version.
Well,
I
no,
got.
I don't know if it's because
They're
his time
faster?
Like
kind of
it
worked
seems,
out
I've
for
like
the first board. It seems
I
like
don't
it's
think
going
we
crazy
were
fast, right?
I don't think
Yeah.
we released more than one set of ROMs on Marvel, did we? I know on Gauntlet we had to make a patch because players figured out how to play forever.
See, now that
Oh,
is
really?
ridiculously tough to like. I'm not saying taking anything from his skill, but I would say that happens like 1 out of 10 times maybe that you
Maybe. Oh,
don't
and
get
he's
thrown off the.
Ah,
Yeah, the acceleration on his is way quicker than mine.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like that is ridiculously fast.
Yeah, yeah. It
You
looks
have
like it's
like a
turbo.
really good trackball, maybe? I don't.
Well, I rebuilt
Like-
my like.
Yeah, why is that so? This looks ridiculous. How fast he just went up there.
Yeah,
But it's not. It's not something with the. No, right?
This was
With the
such a great
camera or
time
anything,
suck.
or with the.
Yeah.
This was
I
such
love-
a great waste of time getting people to go for all the little ones.
Yeah, can't crush them
Time-
all.
These guys.
The time you spend
going after him. Yeah,
Jim,
Really
the
hard.
first board worked out because he lost and then he got 50, so it seemed normal.
Yeah.
To
Right.
me.
But
It's really
honestly,
hard to
this
make a
is
profit.
his marble is accelerated so much faster than
Yeah, his
mine.
marble's on speed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a setting. Maybe.
These are the
No, it's
Denver-
not. It's not because I looked, but and there's time differences.
Yeah, you could
But-
adjust the track times, but that was the
And I used to
shortcut right
and I
there.
wondered about
Whoa.
about the hardware, but a bit as far as like the layout chip, but it either works or it doesn't. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm torn. I've
there
had
was
this
no
conversation in the past numerous times with people about like, okay, that seems ridiculously fast versus this one. And
yeah.
I mean, you can watch my old YouTube videos and see the difference between the speed of his and
I mean,
and
his
me
looked like
playing.
really fast to me, but
Yeah,
I mean, but the
it's
times worked out.
acceleration. Yeah,
Yeah, the time worked out in the first board when he missed. So I'm like, okay, he got 50. I usually get 53 when I don't try that jump.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to afford to make any misses at all in the game to get to the end. That was definitely one of the. But we also had a problem because it was one of the
Lewis
first games
cheats.
to run at 30 hertz instead of 60, and because of that, the trackball could wrap. It didn't have enough bits in the counter, and so you could wrap the trackball at 30 hertz, and so we had to add a bunch of protective code running at 60. Sorry for the geekiness. To get the trackball to properly detect direction and speed.
He's going to get a Gatorade. He's out of breath from just doing that.
Yeah.
It is a workout.
Man, we're old.
If you play it right.
I can do that 10 times in a row.
He had to take his wedding ring off to play too. That's another hack.
Dave, what we need Lewis to go to Grinkers when everything's all hunky dory again and play his, because his plays about the same as mine, Steve's Barbie's.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I don't know if it was the.
I don't know if you're right. I don't know if maybe the camera was just
something's
catching
weird,
up
but
with
the
something.
time worked out right for the first board when he missed. I'm like, okay,
Agreed.
so he can't be going that fast, but it looks like he's going 1,000 miles an hour, and we're he's on crack, and we're
maybe
on
it just
weed.
has really nicely greased trackballs.
I know it was a turbo,
old grease balls.
but maybe there's a delay or something with the
greasy balls.
It could be a variety of things.
Yeah. Oh, no.
It was still a great effort. That's where I would be.
Yeah.
Lewis, are you the Billy Mitchell of Marble Madness?
No, nowhere near.
Well, there was a guy at Grinkers that was pretty damn fucking good. I was amazed.
Oh, that was the big dude, I think.
Yeah, the big dude was like, holy shit.
The Pingo guy that pissed me off that I kept making fun of. It was that dude.
Yeah, there was a really good Marble Madness player, but there wasn't many. That's why I scored high in that tournament. The only one I'll ever, because a few of the games I owned and some other ones I was good at, and I'm like, I felt like a champ, but not next to that guy.
Was that the year that we had Super Punch Out, or was that the
Super
year
Punch
it
Out
was
and
our
Fire Escape?
and Cheyenne?
Yes, it was fun because we had the games.
In the tournament, did you play head to head or did you play one player?
Yeah, it was just for best score.
It was an aggregate of all your games,
Okay.
so a few of us were good at a few, and then if you were so much further ahead of one game, you got like whatever more percentage points. Correct?
Right.
Yeah. It's like mystery scoring. It was all like smoke and mirrors and an Excel spreadsheet.
Here's my 10th place, so I'm excited with that.
Yeah.
Nice.
My 10th
Well, you got to
place,
frame that.
Yeah. My Meet the Parents Fockers 10th place ribbon. Yeah, I was very excited.
Put that above your headboard in your bedroom.
I know.
I think that's
very
as far as
excited
it
about
goes
that.
as 10th place.
Yeah, I'm
isn't it?
excited as much as that is the.
Depends on how many
squeaked in.
certificates we had.
Yeah, is the
If we had spares, we went higher.
is the 2015 Brofest
I love those.
hot dog sign.
Oh, that's
the hot
that's
dogs.
the
hot
little
dog.
signature sheet thing, the autograph sheet.
Yeah.
So I listened in one of you guys' shows that it sounded like you guys were much more interested in restoring and making games work and preserving the history of the games than actually making money on rebuilding them and making them work and selling them.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are in this hobby for the money.
Yeah.
Because
Because you
Yeah.
don't
Bad
make it.
decision
Yeah.
until very recently.
I told you I sold Marble Madness. That's literally the second game I've ever sold. As long as I've been in this hobby for 16 years, and every
Wow.
game that I pick up is a game that I generally like and want to keep if I can. And I've got a storage unit too, which with overspill of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm working on Super Punch Out right now, and that's been a game that's been really high on my list for a long time. And coincidentally, the value of that game and Marble Madness are pretty darn equal.
Wow.
And so that's part of the reason why I sold Marble Madness. Otherwise, I'd still have it. It was I play that. Unfortunately, that's a game by myself I play the least. But then with my collection, and then B, it was a pretty close 1-to-1. I've kind of surpassed that. I've got a little more money into this, but that's all on me. For my OCD with this stuff. Buying the laminate, buying
Some
brand
of us
new
are
this or that.
patina, and some of us aren't.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say when you
I always make the argument to the it's like you call it keeping it original and patina. I call it laziness.
That's what I
Fight me,
was
Oh,
man.
that crazy.
It could be you can make the argument one way or the other. There's so
Jim wants
yeah,
it
but
better than when it came off the line.
Off
Production line.
But how do you guys get do they even make the monitors anymore?
no,
Nope.
you have to rebuild
I-
them.
Okay. Wow, that's a
Keep them going.
dangerous work.
In fact,
build them,
that's a good segue. I just
go.
watched Randy Fromm just did a quarantine little seminar for free. It's on YouTube. It's archived. He's the big. I don't know if you know who Randy Fromm is. He's kind of like this legendary arcade monitor guru that's been in. He worked for operators for years and taught workshops on how to do monitor repair. And so he's
Wow.
still kicking and did a free little workshop. And that was just that's on YouTube. But
and we have
talking about how they
Buffett,
work.
Don't forget.
Yeah,
Buffett, who's on our show, is a big monitor. I mean, that's what he does.
that's his job.
He
That's-
rebuilds monitors for people, and they ship them the harness, I guess, right? And he fixes it and
The
sends
chassis.
it back.
Well, I'm
Or
certainly
chassis, I
not
should
a
say.
monitor repair guy, but what they do a lot, from my understanding, is you still have to have the original chassis, the circuit boards, but
Right.
the monitor, the tube itself, it can go bad or have screen burn, and you can get donor tubes, like old television tubes. And then
If you're lucky, yes.
yes.
Yep.
Is that actually
Yeah.
a Marble Madness board behind you? Wow.
Dude, just to make you happy, I went. This was running Roadrunner just a few hours ago. So I went. I put the boards together. I switched it all over, and I'm actually surprised it's working. So I'm actually
That
happy
looks
about
really clean. That looks practically brand new. That's in great condition. Wow. Nice. I've got a System 1 prototype board
With all the wires?
of marble with a lot of wires. One of the early revs of the board sitting in a storage locker somewhere. I was gonna put it in lucite to encase it and preserve it. Haven't gotten around to that. I thought it'd be a good wall hanging thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Wow, that's amazing to look at.
Is your 6810? Is it? I forget what CPU it was.
I think it was a 68K plain. Was it a 6810?
I thought it was, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
That
I don't.
chip right here.
Yeah, that chip right there. Yeah.
Does anybody in IRC have any further questions for Bob?
Oh, yeah.
In case we missed any that were posted, we tried to grab them as we saw them, but yeah, please post your questions on there if you have anything.
What's that?
Your voice sounds really good, Mock. And
Does it?
with that microphone? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Is that a
sound
new
warmer
setup?
than usual.
Hello.
Yeah, there you go.
Bob, did you get
Oh,
to
yeah.
walk through all the pictures of your arcade, like as it kind of looks like? So you got Marble Madness there.
Yeah, I
What else do you-
apologize. Lewis asked me about an arcade tour. It's in my garage, and there's a lot of stuff in there that isn't.
Yeah.
We know that's
me.
easy.
As you can see from the one picture, it was there's a snow sled there, from trips up to Tahoe. And then the only picture I didn't show was that one, which is a cabinet my son decided to buy, and he was painting Deadpool on the side of it. He wanted to make a Deadpool cabinet that he could put like a PC inside running MAME, or actually he was going to use it for Fortnite. He wanted to play Fortnite
In an arcade cabinet.
in an arcade cabinet.
Music to Mock's ears, right?
Yeah, I've got that sitting in my garage, kind of in the way of everything else. If you could see from this picture, that's the back of it over there.
Oh, okay.
In the middle of everything. So yeah, it's not a place that can be used right now. Like I said, I used to use it for Super Bowl parties. We clean it out and get it all set up and make sure all the games are running. But that's pretty much the only time the games ran, once a year. So they're still running, and I haven't had to do any work on them.
You cross your fingers when you turn them on, like we do.
Right.
Page of the arcade gods. Actually, none of us. Well, even like Andrew and Mock, that looks like Dave's the only one that legitimate, and Lewis that have games legitimately turned on right now.
This is all fake.
I noticed that
Very
because
true.
you were fading in and out.
Yeah, because they're actually, it's funny. Speaking of Marble Madness, I on the show 5-6 years ago, right after I had restored it, had the games on proudly behind me, and my brand new restored Marble Madness was behind me. And I don't know which show it is, but it's recorded live. And at some point, the monitor died just right during the show. I turned around and black. And so like that's kind of started the whole like the curse of the be careful if you you're gambling if you have your games on during the show.
Well, what's great about this method is that you can kind of show what games you have in your arcade and have them on, and you can do it every time on the show and not have to worry about stuff going down.
Yeah.
So
is that actually a video feed of another location, or is it a pre-recorded movie?
Mine's a pre-recorded of my little barcade that's in that room that way.
Yeah.
If I knock this wall out, it could be this big though. Why'd you give me that suggestion?
All right.
I'm sure your wife would be thrilled with
game
that.
room now. All right.
Yeah. All of his games are frozen though. Yeah.
With the Discitron in the back. Yeah, right.
I got a pinball collection too. Like there's my pinballs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with the nice carpet and everything. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Black light.
Those are not that's not mine, by the way. Those are pictures I found online.
Gino, you missed it. You may have missed it, but Bob was talking about how much he likes Robotron. You can tell him about the 12 Robotrons you've got in your garage.
Yeah.
So we have a
and Robotron.
Andrew, where's your one-ups?
Oh, that's on the other computer.
Oh,
that was my backup from last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a couple of questions that did come in for Bob.
Oh, cool.
Necros asked, "Did Bob work on Shud's
shoes?
Shoes. That's the horseshoes game. That's we had in our tournament.
No, I didn't work on it.
It's a countertop game.
It sounds real. I feel like I remember it.
Same cabinet as Marble Madness 2 and Rampart and Pit Fighter. Shoes were in that one too.
Oh, it had an upright version, not just a countertop.
I've always seen the countertop. Oh,
really? Oh, wow.
Geach has a question. This is Bob. I love Marble Madness. Thank you so much for one of my favorites. How good are you at the game? Best score / time left over at the end.
Oh God. So
There we go.
I finished the game pretty consistently, but I was not one of the high score guys because they just got too good at using 2 trackballs, and I never learned how to use 2 trackballs. So I think that's the key to the
I'd
best
love to see
possible
some
play.
old footage of guys just plowing through that game.
Yeah, I don't remember scores. I mean, right now on my current one, there's an 87,000 up there, which I think is pretty
Nice.
low. But and I think that was like I hadn't played it in a couple of years, and I just walked up and did that, so I felt pretty good. And I didn't try again because I didn't want to do worse. But yeah, no, it's a game you have to play to get good at, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Was there rhyme and reason? Maybe, well, because of the programming, but how come sometimes you get the little the
wand.
little fairy wand will hit you and then get you more time?
Give you like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
of
why does
time.
that sometimes happen, but not all the times happen?
That's for 2-player, right?
No, it
nuh-uh.
sometimes will happen with 1 player too.
Mhm.
Like it's like I don't know. There's got to be some sort of condition because if you're
Yeah.
about to run out of time, it'll like grant you 10 seconds.
It'll bless you.
Bless you, yeah.
And it seems kind of random. Like if you're struggling with the level, it'll give you a little bit more.
I mean, I remember adding that feature, but I don't remember the details of how it was implemented. I would actually have to look at the source.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't given. I don't think it was given.
It's
easily.
not consistent, because if I just start a 1-player game, I walk away from it. It's not going to give me 10 seconds. It's like
Right.
you must have to keep playing.
I think there was some logic. I think there was some logic to it, and to try to encourage you to put in another quarter. I think that was the whole point. I mean, at that time, games, it was, what was it, 3 minutes or 90 seconds? There was a time that was expected per quarter, and so we actually designed all the games to try to gobble a quarter at that rate. And so that's why the first level is
quick. Lewis, figure it out. It'll be a new
seconds.
exploitation. You're gonna break the game and be like, I can get the wand every time. Watch this.
Oh, missed the ice.
Yeah.
He's not gonna sleep for weeks now. He's gonna try to figure that out. Yeah.
Just skip it. And this is where 2 trackballs came in really handy through the maze, because you could use both hands to get through there more efficiently. I never got good at that. I gave up. I just used one hand. Oh,
that
was well done.
Rocking it.
Yeah.
You
never
gotta
mind.
keep the pace up. They squeeze you out if you don't get there fast.
Yeah, I think what it is that it's the camera, because now that I'm watching it, it just the little bursts. It seems like he's going way fast, but it's the camera.
Someone's choking. We know you're better than this, Lois.
Was that scotch you showed?
That's right, it stinks.
Yeah, it's too much whiskey there, Lewis.
Or whatever.
Shoot it, fat boy.
Yeah, I'm being conservative on the soundboard tonight, but Geach, the wand's appearance always seemed random to me. Never could determine any triggers for it. Yeah, same here. Well, hot damn.
Yeah. Happy to answer any other questions.
Yeah, does anybody have anything else? We usually wrap it up around this time, unless you guys have more questions.
And I'm sure you guys have other stuff to talk about. We'd like to.
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of the recent shows? Yeah. It's like Arcade is kind of like the loose crux where it's like the safe word where we'll come back to it.
They were waiting
but
for
it's like-
Mandalorian to start back up. And...
I did hear some
Oh,
discussion
yeah.
about movies and TV series. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Mandalorian.
bounce all over the place, really. I mean, we've been doing this shit for 5-6 years now going on. There's only so many arcade things you can talk about nonstop before it spills over.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's updates,
No.
projects we're working on, but like honestly, it's we'll talk about that stuff. But at some point, it's like, oh, so what else are you doing with your life?
I saw the show where somebody was talking about cutting a pole position up. They had to cut the floor out to get it into a basement, and then they put in 2x4s in the floor and put it back together once they got it through.
Yeah, that was my cousin.
Is that what's
okay. Okay. Yeah.
He couldn't get it down the turn. His basement was so there
really
wasn't like a
interesting.
landing, and then he had to cut it to get around. It's still there. Yeah, it's in there. But he did a good job. I mean, you can't tell. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell.
Do you want to tell your? Let's say, Dave, your Marble Madness story with the. book?
What's unique about my Marble Madness is that I did a trade for this game because I really, really wanted it. Like I said, with the MAME thing, like that was one of my ultimate games. So I was fortunate enough to get a big barn find of these. The game that's over my shoulder, right over here, Fire Escape. It's like electromechanical, Main 84 by a company called Mechtronic, which was supposed to be distributed by ICE, which was made in Western New York. I'm from Buffalo. So I was fortunate enough to find like 45 of these games in a barn. And being collectors and kind of in the hot of the maybe the high point of the market, who knows? But everyone has the Pac-Mans and the asteroids, so guys are looking for the unusual. And Ice Cold Beer was really hot, and this is electromechanical, so it's rare. It's a rare game. So I was fortunate enough to get a bunch of these, and I did a trade to get a Marble Madness from my friend from Oregon. And the Marble Madness that I got was a guy by the name of Sean Newton put out a couple books. He put out that be one of them, Bits, Sticks, and Buttons and Grails. Bits, Sticks, and Buttons. I'm not sure what year these were put out. I can't remember offhand. But Bits, Sticks, and Buttons has like the top 50 games, whatever the author thought would be the best games. And Marble Madness is one of them. And
that's cool.
The gentleman I bought it from is that guy, Jordan Barth, right there. And that's his game. That's the game behind me. That's in that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it was funny because when I did the trade, I go, just out of curiosity, Jordan, is that the game that was in the book? And he goes, yeah. But he has since acquired another one because he knew he's got enough connections. I'll build another one. It's like I said, I made a deal with some Fire Escapes to trade with him and shipped him across country and vice versa.
Wow.
Like we made a deal with like, all right, I'll give you this and this. I really want a Marble Madness. And then, so I had it shipped here, but that's funny because that is the game that was in that book.
That's amazing. Shipping must be really expensive on these machines.
Yeah, it's not as bad. It's funny because when you ship one, let's say, I think it's because I shipped a bunch of the Fire Escapes and people shipped, they paid for shipping. So I saw what shipping was everywhere. Let's say you ship one to Oregon, which is he was in Portland, and it's 500. You ship two, it's 560.
Right. Okay,
it's so crazy. That's why. So he actually, we did a deal. I did two Fire Escapes that weren't. They were just, the condition they're in. You guys got to do the restore. We did worked out a deal so I could get this working Marble Madness, and then and it's funny because it showed up and it wasn't working, but came across from Oregon. Eventually, we got it working because I knew it was working when he shipped it because he wasn't gonna.
Well, that helps. Yeah.
Yes, and he also they do a podcast, Coin Rejects, and it was funny because they were talking about just getting it out of his basement. They all thought they were going to die because it's been a while since they moved the game out and how heavy it was. Like, Jesus Christ, that Marble Madness, fuck. Like, I thought I was going to die getting it out of the basement.
That was a heavy
Right.
cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a heavy cabinet.
We've
And
talked
you
about
can
like
drop it. They'll be fine.
We don't
And
like
before-
moving them.
Bob,
That's true.
before you were on the game book, I moved some games around because behind me used to be Hyper Sports, and right next to it's a Frogger, which is currently dead. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to move shit because you're coming on here.
Oh,
So
that
I was
fun.
moving stuff around. I'm like, this is fucking heavy as
Definitely
shit.
honored.
But I didn't really have to. I just kind of moved it forward, but it was still a pain in the ass. It's heavy as balls.
Is that concrete in your basement, or is it carpet?
It's concrete, so I can slide the
Okay.
shit out of it.
You
I'm
can
not
slide.
wrecking anything.
That's good.
But still, it's just I could just it's just heavy.
It's not easy.
In fact, I was
No.
scared getting it down to the. You say it's not heavy?
He says not easy.
Not easy.
easy.
Yeah.
Not,
It's not
easy.
easy.
Not easy. It's definitely heavy.
No,
Yeah.
I had
Our
my
carpet and the plastic sliders is way easier than just concrete.
Yes, that's what I want to eventually get carpet down here, but I
I
was
have
like,
a
you know what, this gives me a good
refrigerator,
reason to just to move some stuff around, and Frogger's got a
Change it
dead
up.
monitor. Let's put that in the back, and
Yeah.
Send it to
And,
Gak. He'll fix it.
but I was afraid to
Right.
move it
I'm
because
on
every
it.
time you move these games, something doesn't work.
Oh,
And then we
yeah.
just
Yeah.
repaired it. It had a bad
Yeah.
monitor, and we switched out the monitor, my friend Donnie and I. And then I'm like, I'm gonna fucking move this thing, and it's not gonna work. I shouldn't even move it. Fuck it, because you were here, and I'm such a
Oh.
fan of that game. It's so
That's
weird
awesome.
that
Yeah.
and Jim was always a huge fan, and
Oh
like
yeah.
he
Oh, I
said, he
still
had it
am.
for 6 years, and he's like, I have so limited space. I gotta get rid of something and
Well,
Tell
again,
them
Well, the
do
nice
it.
thing about Marble Madness is that most of the arcades you can find that game. So if I get the craving to
Yeah.
play it, we know a few of you guys own
Still
it,
there.
but then arcades and stuff, yeah, it's
it's not
It's
as
not-
rare as rare. I mean, you could eventually get one back if you want.
Yeah.
It's not like you gave up a major Havoc or something.
Right,
that, like,
it's not-
oh
yeah.
man, like I can get one if I want, or you can buy the kit. I mean, some of the kits are selling for just the control panel, the board, $1,000. I don't know if they were. That's what people were asking. I can't remember if they got, but it's crazy. All the System 1 games, Marble Madness is the premium. Besides like the Peter Pack Rat and maybe the
That one's
Roadrunner,
rare.
but as far as like
And
Indiana
Paperboy.
Jones, Road Blasters.
That's System 2.
oh
Wait, what is it?
Paperboy doesn't count because it's
No,
System
no,
2.
no, no. But all the
System 2,
interchangeable
so-
games for System 1,
right.
Marble
Road
Madness,
Blasters
besides the
and-
Peter Pack
yeah.
Rat and
Road
the
Blasters.
Roadrunner, because they're a little more rare.
Peter
That's the
Pack Rat.
premium. It's the premium
RBI
price.
baseball too, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there an
RBI
RBI?
baseball was a proto, and I don't think it ever came out on the System 1. They
There's
released
one
it
guy
as a-
that built them all that does
he's been on
have.
here with us, Jeff Kinder.
Hmm?
He did it. It's not called RBI. It is some baseball game.
Oh,
though.
pitcher, relief pitcher.
Relief
relief
pitcher. There we
pitcher.
go.
Oh, that's
yeah.
the guy we had on.
Yeah, he's been
Yeah.
on here with us.
That's the
yeah.
Dragon's Lair guy.
Yeah.
Yes, Dragon's Lair Project.
Oh my god, I
yeah.
didn't realize it was
Dragon's
the same
Lair
guy.
Project.com.
No, he is
DLB.
amazing. He did all like
Nice.
beautiful. They're like mint, like they
Wow.
looked amazing. Like
with-
he
with,
made them
like,
so.
specific side art and everything, right?
Oh, they were like off the showroom floor. Like I was like,
Yeah.
wow, he's got them all next to each other, all the System 1s. Like he said, he finally had it done, and I was like, whoa, that's
yeah, relief
impressive.
pitcher was an awesome game. Actually, I liked it.
I've never played it. Has anyone ever even seen it? I mean, it was
No,
prototype. Is that what
No.
you said?
Jeff's got
Yeah,
the only one I know.
Yeah, and then the same.
I
same guys
thought it
with
was a I thought it was a prototype on System 1, and they kind of released it as its own board for conversions. But maybe I could be wrong.
That's the one that's got the little springy bat, right? Is that
No,
the
that's
one?
World Series.
World Series.
I love
Yeah,
that. No,
that's
I
good,
I
yeah.
like that as a kid because it's like ooh,
Yeah.
just different
the
control
controls.
mechanism.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
You gotta flick it.
yeah,
Flick it.
it was kind of a
Flick
cool thing. It was like the wasn't it like the Apple controller, like that little thing, or like the
A
the
little joystick.
tabletop Nintendo thing.
Yeah,
That
just on
weird-
its side. Yeah, you had a little skinny, little
Little
springy
spring
joystick.
flick
Yeah.
flick stick.
I think they made a football one too. With that.
we
Right?
this is
It's the
coined
tiniest,
flick stick.
thinnest joystick ever. Huh?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ever created, I think.
Come on, Mock, you gotta have a joke for that.
No, I'm a gentleman.
You need another drink. Yeah.
I was like, there was such a pause
trying to
there.
be
I'm
on
like,
my
Mock's
best
gonna say
behavior
something.
here.
Jim's gonna-
On this show, I've heard some good stuff on the previous.
We're being really nice, I think.
I hear that. I appreciate it.
I don't know. Did I say this already, Bob? I've got like 9 fucking Bud Lights in me, or 15. I don't know.
Or
when I
15.
moved the game,
Get
and
one
then
or the
your name was, I saw you because I haven't turned it on in a while, and I put it right here, and I'm like, oh, there's the fucking guy. His name's right on the fucking screen.
Credits come up.
Yeah, right there. Bob Cuddy. Because when they were talking about, I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, so I like Googled it. I'm like, oh, because they said Atari. They didn't. We were talking
Careful
about
if
it
you
in a private
Google my name. You end
chat
up
group,
with
and I'm like,
some other
Marble
pop
Madness.
again. It's not
This guy's
me, and was involved in 9 Inch Nails and hurt himself.
Oh.
Oh, not the band.
Yeah, the band. Yeah. No, he did a video for 9 Inch Nails, but he was,
He was doing other things that he shouldn't have.
not related to me in any way.
Sure.
Let's not honor him by talking about it. Let's talk about you.
Yeah.
I think there's a famous poker player too named Bob
Oh, really?
Cunningham.
That's a really cool picture. An IRC.
Not Cunningham though.
All the
Oh.
System 1 Atari games
Oh,
all in a
fuck,
row.
Oh my
That's really
God.
cool.
Bring it up.
Wrong name.
Bring it up.
Oh. Yeah, he's got relief picture there, and
Yeah. And all the custom art.
I like the angled one.
And Road Blasters, yeah.
Oh
There you
yeah,
That's
go.
incredible.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a row.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
Oh wait, where'd it go? I want to see it again.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I switched screens on it. Yeah. Here.
Too
Oh,
close.
the pedal. That was awesome.
Wait, do it again.
There again. Do it again. Do it again.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Look at that. That's amazing.
And the picture I posted before that shows the 2 different Atari side arts. The Atari System
Yes.
1 side art, the original ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I
No,
like.
on the
I
right,
actually.
I
I
think it's the most
prefer.
fun.
I prefer the original that art. I just think it's really sharp, and I love
With light
the
blue
gradient.
by the control panel.
Yeah,
You
I
like
really
the-
like that.
You like the Atari side art?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I like
I
the
think
other
I think
one.
I think the custom stuff just doesn't. It to me it just doesn't look right. It looks like someone just took an image and blew it up. It
Wow.
doesn't look like it was like a legit. Like it doesn't look factory to me.
What I was saying though on that,
I
the
agree
one
with
that
that.
shows those 2 side by side, the one with the light blue in the middle, I think was like the original first revision.
yeah, it might have been.
And I believe it's less common.
Oh,
The
yeah.
one on the right is the most common.
Whatever,
Right.
CAC. Knowing everything about cabinets and stuff.
Right.
That's what,
Cabinet Rain
that's what
Man.
Bob has. Bob has the one on the left.
Keep
I'll
using
say-
your Umbrella Academy
Yeah.
powers on us.
He's the mute.
Hey,
Oh,
though,
all
that
right.
that picture,
you
this
got that one
picture
on the left,
here,
too.
this picture here, though, of the
Wow.
custom art, the Road Blasters to me looks the best with the
Wait a
because it's
minute.
got the little
I'm
bar
confused.
gradient thing worked in
So
there.
this is the
Yeah.
same guy, but we didn't. He's got the custom art. He had them all. So, right, it's the same gentleman.
Jeff
obviously.
Kinder, those are all his games.
Oh, okay.
Were the,
Oh, is it?
the kits weren't shipped with
Yes.
new side art, were they? They would just
No,
ship
this
to
is all
the-
custom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
so
all
did he
customized.
do? Did he do the custom on one side and the like?
No,
Or no?
he didn't. He did it on both sides.
Oh, because
Yeah.
the baseball doesn't have anything made because it was so unique.
So he went with that. Yeah.
It's a proto.
Road Blasters is good. I agree with you there, Jim.
Yeah, the Road
Road
Blasters
Blasters
looks
isn't
okay.
bad.
But I don't
Roadrunner's
like. Yeah.
Marble Madness it looks like a marquee just blown up, and
Yeah.
Pakra is just not.
Yeah,
shaped
so you
for the
so you
cabinet.
so you s- yeah you see where I'm coming from. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't quite fit.
And I think
when
those
you,
are
Indiana
Fizz
Jones
Gig
looks pretty good.
recreations.
I was gonna say I do like the Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones and Road Blasters I think are good. Road
the only
Runner.
thing, but where how it lines up with the control panel, it's like it's chopped off.
Yeah.
You
Oh.
Yeah.
see
they
what I'm
should've-
saying?
They should have done.
This looks
They
weird.
should have bled it into the
Yeah,
control
it
panel.
definitely would have
Yeah.
been losing quarters back in the day. Kids would have seen that and be like, I ain't playing this game. Look at that
Totally,
fucked up
totally.
side
I
art."
mean, I remember still examining the cabinet before I'd put a quarter
Yes.
into it for sure.
'Cause they were all tilted like that in the arcade, right? They were all
Yeah.
like,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember an arcade being this bright.
Where,
Yeah, that's a pretty nice room for a
where do I
display.
where do I hold my cigarette?
Yeah.
As I was 10 years old.
As a kid, I played every one except the baseball one. My brother is a year younger than me, but he remembers playing Peter Packrat, which I don't. But I did play Roadrunner. I played Roadrunner, Indiana Jones, Road Blasters, Marble Madness, 100%. Yeah. But he remembers playing Peter Packrat. I just went by it if it was there. I don't remember it. But he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember playing that." Tons.
And I think wasn't Road Blasters the first game on that system or not?
No, that was the last game on that system.
Marble Madness was the first one.
Yeah, okay. And I think Packrat might have been second, and then Indy.
I remember seeing Indy Indy and Road Blasters. I saw the most. Pizza Hut had an Indiana Jones.
Indy had a great set. It was built. The gameplay was similar to the Star Wars Return of the Jedi, I think, with multiple wave styles that made it really fun to sequence to play.
But I was a kid, and we all saw the movie, so it was like, ooh, it was the tag. We just saw Temple of Doom, and it's like, oh wow, you're all into it. So I mean, I loved Indy as a kid.
Lewis? Well, yeah, and the attract screen with like the cart sequence and stuff like that. That's really exciting.
Yeah,
which he always did about being short round in the cart and all that.
I like the sound bites on it with the bad guys are whoa.
Yeah.
That's racist.
Oh.
Good stuff.
Is that like Kate Capshaw's last movie before Spielberg just gave her $100 million and said, just don't do anything? You could stay home. Anymore. You don't have to do that acting thing anymore.
We're not sinking. We're crashing.
God.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well,
any other questions I can answer for you guys?
I don't see anyone in NRC. Does anybody else have any?
What's your phone number? We'll call you when they come to us.
Imagine.
Hey, are you eating dinner right now? We got a question for you.
Yeah, more important. Yeah. This just came in the IRC at 4 a.m.
Why red and blue marbles? Why?
Yeah.
Why red and blue? Yeah, because green sucks.
How about this? I have a question. How about the way you design what's inside the marble? I always thought was kind of neat. How it has that weird like those dots in it. And it's
the dots that rotate.
Yeah, I always thought that was kind of cool. How that was done.
It was a diamond. That was the part that Mark. It was his design. We needed something to indicate the marble was rolling. You needed to be able to see it. So those were actually set up to rotate with the actual physics that I programmed, and he actually did the math for it at the time.
Oh wow!
Math being the graphics, I guess.
The math being, and there were individual dots. So those are individual motion objects. So there was a blue sprite, and then there was 9 yellow dots that were placed within that, and then there was a highlight placed over it to make it feel like it was 3D. And the dots rotated in 3D with respect to the marble. So you got it was pretty cool.
Very neat. I always thought that was neat.
Something I never would have thought of.
Yeah, but it gives you the feeling the marble's actually rolling, and it sticks. I mean, it's pretty solid. It doesn't slip or anything in terms of the rotation. It really mimics the rotation of the trackball. Yeah, a direct drive.
Here's another question. What do you think of Crystal Castles when that came out? Because that was a trackball game. Like it, hate it? Okay.
Yeah, I love playing it. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my type of game, but I loved playing it. It was fun. I remember. I mean, that was about the same time as Spy Hunter, right? I think, or within a year. We got a Spy Hunter in the cafeteria, and we used to all spend hours playing that game. But no, Crystal Castles was a blast. Franz Lanzinger had some really unique game designs that he did. both for arcade games, and I think he's still doing games. And he showed up at CAX several times.
Yeah, we've all owned a Spy Hunter, I think, at one time.
Yeah.
Let's see what Andrew has. I have. Dave from Buffalo, I think, has, right?
He has one
He
right
got
now.
he got mine.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, and Carrie, I think, had
do I
one,
have?
right? No.
Nope.
No.
No.
Gino, did you have one?
Nope, never had one.
And okay, well, how
I
about
used, to have,
Gak?
I used to have a cockpit, a Spire cockpit.
Okay,
yeah.
so half of us have had a Spy Hunter.
Oh, I got two.
That's another
cockpits in
really
my
heavy
parents'
game.
garage.
Yeah.
That's another really heavy game.
Oh,
It's
it's
super
so
heavy.
heavy. Oh my god. It's
That's
like
why you
lead
gotta
and
get, like,
kryptonite put together.
A refrigerator hand truck, right?
Yeah.
It does have a handle
I
on the
thought I
back
was
of
gonna
it,
die.
but it's
This is
so.
Out of my garage.
I don't know
Strap
what's heavier too. We should test. We'll ask Jeff Kinder that because Kinder is the one that helps put the games down at CAX, and he has to move them all.
The
so.
two heaviest
Oh my God.
I'd say that I have, it was Road Blaster's cockpit.
Oh,
And
Well, that's a cockpit though.
Another Atari Stun Runner. But there's
Yeah.
so much
Oh, with the
wood
bench?
and metal and
Runner,
stuff.
cool.
Well, you're talking about like sort of
Yeah,
a cockpity type though.
Lewis, you helped me get that Stun Runner.
Yeah.
That's a.
Yeah.
I love
Stun
that
Runners
game,
don't get a
too.
lot of love. I
Hmm.
mean,
No.
there was a like 6 months ago. There was like 5 for sale for like $400 or whatever on Club.
Wow.
Nobody seemed to, because Donnie had one. And I'm like, dude, you could.
Was basically Road Blasters 2, right? I mean, that was kind of the idea behind it. It's kind of the same idea as like you're trying to go through a track as fast as possible.
And it drops
I don't know
items on
why.
you, and yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of roller coaster.
Yeah.
That music's familiar.
That was me. Sorry.
No, that's right.
So what's heavier, System 1, like I don't know, Marvel Madness versus Spy Hunter?
Oh, man.
Stand up. I think
Spy
Spy
Hunter-
Hunter
I like
might be
Spy Hunter
heavier.
wins.
Yeah.
Spy Hunter-
Every day.
Spy Hunter.
Really?
They're
Yeah, you
so
guys are
heavy.
complaining about all the Atari cabinets. Spy Hunter wasn't.
Spy Hunters
wasn't
was
That wasn't even, yeah.
people. There's like a club post, like it's like the worst ever. And then me and my friend and my father-in-law was upstairs looking at, and my friend's big, and we're both like, I thought we were gonna die because somebody was picking it up, and like we gotta get this. I only have 6 steps, and like we were dying. And then it was heavier than even the off-road, which was a bitch to get out, the 3-player off-road, but the Spy Hunter was just like, fuck that thing.
Are you just
Easier when you take
carrying
the lead
those,
bricks out of it. Sorry.
No, we're just talking like sliding it up 6 stairs, like pushing, and then I've got the
Oh,
hand truck and I'm trying to pull.
Oh, you did have the hand truck. Okay, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was just bad. It was heavy.
That's amazing.
But
I think
Road Blasters was heavy. I had a shitty Road Blaster for $75 that I thought, oh, I'll convert to Marble Madness, because it was so cheap, and it was like on the 3rd floor of this shitty house in like a shitty part of Buffalo. And this guy, I'm looking at this stair, and we got this, and it was hot. And I thought I was going to die there, but this little fucker was so strong. He's like, oh, I can get this thing down. And I'm like, dude, we're
Don't
going
be
to
a
die. Like, and I'm surprised it didn't.
Like a Chris
Motivated to get rid of it.
I ended, huh?
He was
I ended up-
motivated to get rid of it.
Yeah, he was motivated. It was like I think he had to move out of the house. So they were renting, I think, and he had all these games at the top floor, and they had to get them gone. So I paid $75, and then I never reseeded anything. It didn't work, but it was a turd. My wife's like, why did you bring this thing home? Like it looked horrible. It was painted red, and all the paint was flaking off, or it had vinyl on the sides. But then, so I only paid $75 for it, and then I ended up selling it for like $150. I mean, and then it was funny because I put it in my shed, and when the guy came to pick it up, I plugged it in just so he could see that there was like monitor glow, and the thing was working. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna deal. You're getting.
I'll
it
be
for
200.
Yeah, it's working. But I should have kept the boards, and just because. And I had another time where I got some System 1 Road Blasters boards, and I should have just kept it because I got the.
I have one that I use as a parts board. I pull chips and stuff off it all the time because it's got a bunch of unique size ROMs on there that I'll pull and stuff because it.
Poor Road Blasters.
Well, it
Gets no love.
It fixed it.
I like
it fixed my Marble Madness. So
All right.
and
It's all
that was
good.
the first. That's the first
I
and
wouldn't
only
own
board that
one.
I fixed on my own because of the ROMs.
The
'cause
Zaxxon of
I played at a friend's
System One.
house.
Come on.
when
I
I
don't
when I
want
got
one.
my Marble Madness board, it was non working. It mostly worked, but the marble and some of the sprites were just all messed up. It was like a tornado of stuff going on as it rolled. Yeah, it actually looked pretty cool. I wish I had recorded. I might have a video somewhere on YouTube, but it ended up being just one ROM chip, and
Yeah, the
I was
graphic.
able to burn a new one, and I thought that was pretty because I'm not an electrical engineer. I don't know jack shit when it comes to board repair, but that was one of the few times where I was able to do the test and verify the ROMs, and oh, it's this one, and holy shit, it fixed it. But I ended up pulling that chip off of Road Blasters
Yeah,
because that
good-
board had problems too.
a good test mode. Oh, like thank you. That's just
Yeah, I
It's a
can't
good
say that
test
about
mode?
Punch Out.
No, was it a good test mode? In
It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, but it didn't
A
point
loaded
me to the.
question.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is a loaded question.
It
doesn't suck.
I wrote it. It was
Yeah.
the same. It was the system self-test that was used for all the games, and actually, it was adapted to most of the future games in terms of a framework. But I was just told what to do. I didn't know how to test the hardware.
Well, it's better than say Punch Out's board
Yeah.
self-test because I'll throw that on, and there's a million RAM chips on that board, and there's so one of my boards has a minor graphics issue that I ended up sending out, but the self-test, there's like 19 ROMs on the board and like a gazillion RAMs. The self-test shows you like 6 ROMs. It tests like 6 ROMs. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Two RAMs, just 2. And it's like, and I know it's something like that. So, but it doesn't, so it's like, it says everything's okay. I know it's not all okay because I can see there. Yeah.
Yeah, we
See,
spent
it's
a
a-
lot of time. I know that one of the guys gave me all the different RAM tests to run in the RAM test that I programmed in. So he told me all the different ways to test the RAM chips and then identify which one was bad. The
Yeah,
ROMs
it's
were
nice when
a
it does
matter of
work. Carrie's had
looking
more
at it.
luck with that than me.
Oh, cool.
yeah. Well,
With self-test deducing
Yeah.
or telling you that this one's bad.
yeah. Well, Cloak and Dagger. It solved my problem. That was awesome. That was great.
Oh, cool.
Pole position. It just sent me down a nasty spiral of bad.
And now she doesn't own it.
And yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I'm done.
Can't
I've
see
got-
the line, can you, Russ?
Yeah, got to the point where I was afraid to even turn that game on because I would never know if it was going to work or not.
Hey, do you guys remember Marble Madness question? Because the music, I forgot who he had on board, and he was asking, like, he goes, "Hey, my Marble Madness," and all of a sudden it's like haunted because all of a sudden it starts just fucking playing music. Do you
Oh,
remember who is?
I don't remember who that was, but that's the attract. It doesn't
That's
do
the
it all
like
the
it
time.
just did. He
Yeah.
goes, "Is that
Yeah.
normal?" And like, yeah, we were like, yeah.
Yeah, it was too annoying to play it every loop through. So we had to like randomize, I think, or count the number of cycles before we would play it.
Yeah, he thought something was wrong because it was just doing it. Like he thought it was
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he used the word haunted.
randomly playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haunted
I
is
don't
awesome.
remember who it was.
If that's true, who's responsible for the beep beep in Roadrunner?
Yeah.
Track mode.
My favorite.
Yeah.
How about Popeye?
Oh my
Yeah.
And then
God.
Popeye's my second favorite.
Okay.
My friend Scott Bardelli was at Fun Spot, and he was with or he was just there early, and it was like Brian Koo, who's the guy who's like in like King of Kong, and there was a bunch of other high score guys.
Kill
and he
stream
goes, "They were
coming up,
all
kill
day
stream."
trying to do a high score on Roadrunner. Bardelli was there watching it. He's like, dude, they were just like obsessed trying to get the world record on Roadrunner. Like I think they had the camera set up and everything. Like just there was 3 of them going back and forth. He was just talking about it like last week. He was like, I mean, that wasn't last week. I don't know if it was a couple years ago. He goes, I was there a day early, and I'm just watching them just like fucking go bananas on Roadrunner, trying to get the high score. Like, no, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. Like, comparing notes. Guys are really into it, Bob.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, it's awesome that people are still into these machines and working to fix them. I think that's incredible. Especially as hobbies where you can't make any money. I mean,
yeah,
it's impressive.
You really can't. I mean, Dave comes the closest to all of us. He does these big pickups with Donnie and flips it.
Yeah.
But
well, I like everything. I like the games, and I like to buy something cheap. And when I see like the Mad Planets cabs, and I'm like, ooh, somebody's gonna want this for more than the $50 I paid. Which is.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah,
no, I'm not. I didn't do anything. All I did was just I didn't wreck anything. I spotted something in the wild that somebody's really gonna want, and I'm going to pick the thing up.
Yeah.
It's like it's my effort. I gotta list it.
No, yeah.
So I deserve a $300 profit on top of my $50.
Finder's fee.
But you're gonna spend on arcade shit anyway.
Yes, it's all.
Yeah, there you go. It's a horrible cycle.
Perpetuating
funding.
Yeah, just the shipping alone on these things, I imagine, has got to
several hundred. Yeah.
Chew into any kind of profit.
Yeah.
I mean,
We try not to ship it.
I this one
pay
shipped. That was $3.97.
No, that Mad Planets cab, like they pay for shipping.
Okay.
Yeah, because if they want it, I'm not. That's not. My
They have to set it up. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not. It's all on them. Like if you want this, I'm not paying to ship it to you. It's part of the deal. Either come pick it up or you got to arrange.
Or you set it up. Yep. You got to arrange it. Yeah.
Take a road trip from California out to Buffalo and.
No.
You can always go through Wyoming, right, Carrie?
Yeah, no, stay out of W State.
I had a couple games. I had my
through Colorado.
Tron and my Hypersports came to California. I'm trying to think what else. Anything else? Or my two Firescapes where I had multiples to California. Multiple. Jalen bought a couple, and
I got 4. Gotta be a relief to be mostly done with that.
Yeah, that's good.
Anybody have a working Firefox?
No, a bait might have one.
Joe probably would.
I was watching John Jacobs today, and I don't know if his is working.
No, it's broke.
Is it broke? Yeah, but he had that Dexter board, like the, the the compact flash,
the disc player.
Yeah, but I don't think his is working. I love Firefox. Firefox.
Yeah, it was a great game, but it did have the Laserdisc problems.
I love that game had a feature of being able to plug in your Sony Walkman headset and had a little dial for like volume, and I mean nobody did that.
It was ahead of its time. Now I see that all the pinball games have that.
The only time I've seen that again is like some newer pinball are doing it again. Neo Geos, I think, had it too. Yeah.
Neo Geos, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Couldn't you also insert a memory card into those?
Into the Neo Geo,
yeah.
For your place for like adventure games, like Crash.
If you have the AES at home, you could plug in.
I would love honestly, I would love like a 4-slot. I've thought about that.
They're pretty cheap out there. Not too bad.
I'd want a decent.
If you ever, you can't go, Jim, because you're too far away. But Gino, no, Gino's too far away too. The auctions also, oh god, they have at the end there's always a ton of Neo Geos. They just throw them out for like $75.
Everyone blows their wad early on.
Well, yeah, because usually they have like kind of dumb games in them, and there's a lot of people have a lot of Neo Geos. There's a lot of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they'll still go for reasonable prices still.
Yeah,
as opposed to
you got a nice big red.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4-slot would be fun.
I don't remember Neo Geos in the arcade at all.
Oh, a lot of the pizza joints had them.
What's the years for Neo Geo?
90s?
90s,
yeah.
early to mid 90s.
Yeah, I was drunk.
I was drunk from 90 to like about now.
I was old. That's why I'm like,
I'm the same about Dave.
about it. I'm like, what year was these Neo Geos? That's why.
Neo Geo.
1999.
No more for me, guys.
I'm driving.
Jim, we need the Neo Geo song on here. We can play a little bit of it.
Oh God, it's on the loop at Fun Spot. I just watched it again over the summer.
I love that
Going to
video.
Fun Spot next week, right? A week from Friday.
Oh, that's right.
You'll be
Doesn't it
there.
play on loop at over there?
Yes, it's on loop.
That's
It's
right.
on
That's
loop
why you
right
guys
next
hate
to-
it.
right next to Leo's Belly Sente plaque in his donation because it's the Leo Conley Belly Sente wing.
What?
He's got his name like permanently because he donated. He got his company to match. it.
Oh yeah.
And it's got a nice little plaque by the Belly Sente display and information. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I go, Leo, do you know anything about Belly Sente? He goes, no, nothing. I go, it's fucking kind of cool. Like he had no idea. He doesn't know any of the games. He knows nothing.
Right.
I go, dude, it's a cool idea. It's a cool system. Like
Yeah.
I liked Hat Trick and I liked the pool one and I liked the
Yeah,
mini
Hat Trick was
golf.
fun.
You know, I always wanted to play Trivial Pursuit just to see the questions, just to see
Chicken shift. Yeah.
Chicken
Yeah,
shit.
chicken shift. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Chicken chips, cool.
Stalker.
Stock.
Oh yeah. God.
What was that gun game
right.
at Grinkers that we were playing where it's like you're looking through the site and it's panning back and forth? It's like
Empire City, 1931.
yeah, I think that's the one. And there was
I
a
sold him that
different
game. That's why I know it.
there was that one, but there was another
Oh.
one too where you could roll or you could it showed the character. It was in that same wing. It
Shootout.
was just shootout. Yes.
I love shootouts.
That's
I love
that's a
shootouts.
cool game.
Yeah, I almost bought one. Somebody wanted to trade me- what
Empire
was it?
City's tough.
I think
Yeah.
the Targ, but there was too much of a drive, and I'm like, not for a shootout. I'm not driving. Like unless you want to go 6 hours and you really want this Targ, I'm not gonna go for the shootout. If you're around the
That's
corner, I would
a
totally-
cool game. That would pair nice with like kicker. I was going through my stuff. And I'm like, God, I still got 2 boards and a full-on new old stock kit sitting here, and no space and no cabinet.
Jim, do you still have your storage unit?
Yeah.
What's in there?
Let's see.
Dead bodies.
Yeah.
Just refer back to
Gotta
our
put 'em
Christmas videos.
somewhere.
You'll see.
Tetris, Frogger, Centipede Cabaret, Simpsons, Turtles,
Turtles.
DK Jr.
DK Jr., which is going to be your DK3 someday.
Dibs.
An empty Frogger cabinet that used to have my Final Fight in it, or Sega Gremlin cabinet. There's and my
think it's-
Warport project.
I think it's time to unload a few of those because since I've known you've had that, I think you
I'm
should
there.
unload
It's
something.
been 6 years.
Oh,
in there.
I'm not opposed to
I think
selling
I'm
some
gonna
stuff
unload
out
the
there.
Simpsons. We sold our Simpsons, Donnie and I,
Oh.
and I think the Simpsons is the way to go right now.
It's funny because I have plans for the Turtles cabinet because that's my daddy's cabinet that was converted to Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Yeah,
4-player,
yeah,
and I want to
cool.
do Dungeons and Dragons in that. It's a perfect cabinet for that. Simpsons, I've been toying with the notion like, should I fully restore that and then sell it? Because I don't see myself keeping it, or should I just turn it fully? It works. It's all original. It's got the original joysticks, but the side art is pretty.
It's there.
It needs a restoration.
Oh.
Yeah, it's there,
Well,
but
Carrie, have you seen it?
one side's
See,
painted.
Yeah.
One side someone tried to paint it around
it's
the characters
painted.
black.
Oh, okay.
Oh
okay.
yeah, no, I've seen it.
One side's all original, but it's rough, and then the
Oh,
other
no,
side,
ours did
Oh.
have the side art. It wasn't painted. That's why I was wondering if.
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
not.
But
is
it works.
Jim like not good or is it like
No, it's
normal,
rough.
not good? Okay, all
It's
right.
rough.
Yeah.
It works, but I picked it up for $200. So
Yeah, you got some money there if you want to dump it.
Well,
Yeah.
it cost you, $800 to store it for the last 5 years. So, but,
Well, no, he's got the whole unit, but I don't think it's a big game.
yeah,
And once
No,
again,
I've
it's not
got-
like
I've
a
got-
major Havoc where you could always get a Simpsons again and later in life if you wanted it.
yeah. Well, every game that's in there, by my standards, would be a project.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't you have plans for The Simpsons? Like good plans.
Well, no, I was just thinking about restoring it.
Okay.
And then
Okay. I was thinking of
it's
your
the
Dungeons and Dragons. Oh,
Yeah,
turtles.
that's the Turtles cabinet.
Yeah.
That's the Dead East Desert Assault cabinet. That's yeah. I want to do Tower of Doom, Dungeons and Dragons for that.
Turn Toki back into a defender.
Defender.
Robotron.
Was it a Robotron? Okay, Robotron.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know where that came from, but I like it. Yeah. They're all gonna get converted to defenders.
4-player defender.
4-player. Oh my god.
I'm gonna turn my Cheyenne into a defender. You have to use a gun.
That would be...
Oh man.
Well, should we wrap this up? We're
Yeah,
doing
I think
great
so.
today.
Tired, I gotta say.
I was gonna say I
11:24.
gotta get going too.
Okay, so Bob, thank you for
Hey,
coming
Bob,
on
you can
tonight.
come back anytime.
This
you
is
know,
Arcade
yeah.
Dangers. Thank you for bringing Bob on and getting us to talk about arcade games again.
Right?
Well, for almost the whole show too.
Yeah,
I
the whole
know.
show. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
it was,
no,
it
this
was
is
a good
awesome.
time.
It was fun.
Look
So,
at Arcade
Louis,
Danger, how out of breath he is.
Louis, I have a goal
He's
for you in mind. You need to talk to Bob about setting up a little, half day at his house to like play some of these prototypes.
Yeah.
And let me know. I'll bring the beer or whatever beverages you guys want.
Hey, what were you
They get
drinking
one too.
tonight there, Bob? What was your
Uh,
cocktail?
It's called a Mystic Martini.
Oh.
It's,
Martini.
vodka with
I'm
absinthe.
mystified.
Yeah, I'm sorry, vodka with what?
Absinthe.
Absinthe.
Oh.
Ooh.
There you
Another
go.
absinthe
illegal.
drinker.
Yeah,
Give it
it's
a seal
legal.
of approval.
It's legal. It doesn't make you
It's
blind
legal,
anymore.
Yeah,
Darn
couple
it.
of green olives without the pimentos.
Oh,
That was it. Yeah.
interesting. Did you make this up, or is this a real thing?
No, it's a real thing. Somebody got me interested in absinthe, so I was looking for drinks with absinthe, and I like
Yeah.
vodka. So it was a good recipe.
Oh, I may have to try that. Yeah, I'm gonna. Do you add the sugar? Do you add the sugar to it? Do you sweeten it at all?
I don't. No, I don't. I don't. Well, I don't eat sugar, so
Okay.
I'm staying
Good
away from
answer.
sugar.
Good answer.
Yeah. Yeah. No, interesting. Yeah, I actually have some. I have a couple different absinthes in my house. I was into absinthe for a while, and then
Oh yeah.
yeah. So
You got
back
one?
before it was legal, I would get it from France, and they'd ship it over, calling it wine. And they've guaranteed that if the shipment didn't actually make it for whatever reason, they'd either refund you or try it again. So yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
Well, of course it's legal.
Did you get the
Abstinence
one-
is legal. Yeah. No,
Yeah, yeah.
You're not doing it. No, I'm just kidding.
You have the one that's
Bad
brewed in
joke.
the East Bay, the absinthe, because they actually started making it Saint something or other. They started
Yeah.
making it before it was legal in preparation, like they knew it was going to become legal, and they had a bunch to unload as soon as it became legal.
Yeah, I've
Wow.
tried that. I never owned that one, but I had it
Okay,
in
tried it.
actually I think in the bar Absinthe in San Francisco. I think that they had that really quickly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I've had that one. Yeah, I love absinthe. That kind of I love
Yeah.
the kind of licorice.
But
Flavor.
it's not a sweet licorice like Sambuca.
No, yeah, it's not
a nice light, real black licorice kind of a flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So I am on the Mystic Martini recipe. All right. Now we can end the show. I've got we know what I'm doing next week.
Drink recommendation and everything.
Yeah, right. This was a good show.
It was good.
The booze
Lewis,
hounds
do you want
return.
to say anything to Bob and close this out?
Bob, I really appreciate you coming on board and sharing all these wonderful stories and as you figured out, we're huge fans of a lot of the things that you touch.
a lot.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think you're welcome to come back if you want.
Okay.
Hang out. So
I'm hugely
that's
honored and-
Yeah, so now that you've made it past the conversation that's relevant, next time it might just be a circus. So
Yeah.
just
Off
warning.
the
Yeah.
rails real quick.
I think Bob
Yeah,
would
we-
have a good time at Drinkers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure,
2021 April.
After
August of
COVID,
2021.
we'll reconnect with you and let you know more about it.
I'll keep watching the shows for sure.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna lose some in record time.
next one. It's like, yep, I'm done. Check it out.
I'm out of here. Boom.
Well, and
Whoa.
like I told Lewis, if you guys are interested in other veterans, I do have a contact list
yeah.
that I told them about tonight, so they could watch and get a feeling for how you treated us.
Ooh, it was a test.
We're all on our best behavior.
And then that way they can make their own decisions.
Yeah.
I think this place is restricted, Wang, so don't tell me you're Jewish. Okay, fine.
We're not nearly as abusive with guests as we used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on the guest.
True.
Yeah, there's guests and then there's
that.
guests.
I appreciate that. No, thank you guys very much. It's been.
It's fun. It
was a lot of fun. Thank
Nice
you so
meeting
much
you.
for being on. Yeah, it's
Great
great.
show.
Love
You got it.
to talk with you some more.
I'll let you guys
Say
close out
thanks
your
to all the
show.
people on our. Sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll let you guys close out your show, and I'll watch it as you do your closeout.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Bob.
It's going to be very brief.
Au revoir.
Yeah, we're all.
Yeah, we went long.
Ciao.
Thank you to the folks on
Ding
our-
dong.
Like the old days.
Yeah, thanks for talking to Bob and getting him to come on the show.
Yeah, Lewis, that was
Lewis,
cool.
that was awesome.
All luck,
Times.
as usual.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us for another fun and exciting show. And I thought it was a good show today with Bob. That was great. It was fun having a guest. We haven't had guests in a while, so maybe it's something we should look into getting once in a while. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. And IRC, thank you for joining us and throwing out questions. And come join us again next week or here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Pacific. And we also do game night on Thursdays and movie night on Saturdays. And we'll see you there. And thank you. Jimbo, you have any closeout music? There we go.
Where's the stop button?